Chapter 580. The arcane sect's current situation was definitely not as easy as Xing Hui had imagined. After losing Luo Miao and Zhu Jian, the arcane sect's vitality had been greatly damaged. Once this news spread, the divine refining sect that had been fighting with the arcane sect for decades would definitely not mind taking advantage of this opportunity to add insult to injury. At that time, facing the three great almighties of the divine refining sect at the same time, even if Dharma King Axu was known as the second strongest person on the meteorite continent, it would still be difficult to prevent the arcane sect from being destroyed. Therefore, what he was doing now was to completely disregard the future of the arcane sect. When he learned that the Voidwalker Ensure was temporarily unable to use the incarnation technique, he decisively led many gold core, endless, transformative, and true energy realm experts of the arcane sect, and began an expedition to the hidden sword continent that was tens of millions of kilometers away from the meteorite continent. The hidden sword continent was on the route to the eastern wilderness. Since they wanted to force Xing Hui out, destroying the hidden sword continent while destroying the eastern wilderness was naturally the best choice. This result naturally caused an uproar among the other great sects on the meteorite continent. They were completely clueless as to why the arcane art cult was so determined to annihilate the green ruins, even going as far as to suppress the entire arcane art cult. However, they naturally did not stop the arcane sect from doing this. Instead, they were happy to see it happen. When the arcane sect withdrew their core forces and advanced towards the hidden sword continent, many sects that bordered the arcane sect secretly devoured the territories that belonged to the arcane sect. Although they did not devour much, as they were afraid that Dharma King Axu and the others would return, they could not stop several sects from attacking at the same time. As a result, the arcane sect lost nearly 1/3 of their territory in just a few days. Damn it! On a speed-type warship, Dharma King Axu listened to Sect Master Ao Xian's report and fiercely slammed the table. His eyes were filled with anger. Ancient Shrine, Divine Refining Sect, Star Jade Sect, Sacred Evolution Dynasty. Even a small Azure Wave Mansion dares to interfere. How bold! Sect Master Ao Xian's eyes carried a trace of sorrow. Currently, the arcane art cult had really been forced to the point of no return. This was something that the arcane art cult had never encountered in the past hundreds of years. In the past, on the meteorite Iron Continent, other than the ancient shrine that had the bright flame Divine King, which other force had dared to be rampant in front of them. Even the divine refining sect that had always been at odds with them had been suppressed by them most of the time. Now, they were being chased like stray dogs and had no choice but to stake everything on a single throw. This was unprecedented. At this moment, he even felt a faint regret in his heart. If the arcane art sect had not refined the Scarlet Sun demonic god, perhaps they would not have attracted such a huge trouble. Dharmaraja, 2 people suddenly boarded our warship. They said they were invited by the Lord. Dharma King Axu's expression darkened slightly. Only 2. While speaking, he still walked towards the reception hall. Sect Master Ao Xian hurriedly followed. When they came to the parlor and saw the 2 people standing there, Ao Xian couldn't help but exclaim, "Saint Golden Feather, Saint Light Reflection." After exclaiming, he hurriedly waved his hand, indicating for the Golden Core Realm elders around to be fully alert. However, before he could give the order, Dharma King Axu had already waved his hand. "All right, I invited them here. The 2 saint sages are my guests." Dharmaraja, Ao Xian was somewhat unable to understand. It should be known that apart from the 7 major sects, there were also these 2 almighties from outside the meteorite continent who had designs on their arcane art sect. Logically speaking, these 2 people should be the arcane art sect's enemies. That kid has countless treasures on him. Perhaps I can kill him, but to capture him alive is a fool's dream. Therefore, I have no choice but to borrow the strength of others. As Dharma King Axu spoke, his gaze turned to Saint Golden Feather and Saint Light Reflection. I hired them for the price of 200 Taoist rhymes. I even promised that the level 15 divine weapon and level 12 flying sword on that kid would belong to them. However, I didn't expect that in the end. I could only get the two of them to accept this mission. However, Saint Golden Feather is no weakling. He's especially skilled in the art of killing. Dharma King Aksu. Saint Golden Feather looked at Dharma King Aksu. There was no joy or anger on his face as he said, "According to the rules, please sign the chaos contract with us, Dharma King Aksu. Otherwise, if we can't guarantee our benefits, the two of us can only express our helplessness." "Of course," Dharma King Aksu responded. Immediately, the three of them entered the Chaos Temple and made the Chaos Oath. After making the oath, Saint Golden Feather and Saint Light Reflection looked much better. Saint Golden Feather, who was the leader, even showed a slight smile on his face as he said, "I've long heard about Dharma King Aksu's Mirage divine ability. It's said that it's the most mysterious and comprehensive divine ability on the meteorite iron continent that combines both attack and defense. Not only can it deflect and distort various divine ability attacks, but it can also transform the void and form a distorted world. In this distorted world, people will not be able to distinguish between east and west. There's no road to heaven and no door to hell, and they can only become helpless lambs at the mercy of others. It seems that I'll have the chance to see it with my own eyes this time. Saint Golden Feather, you flatter me. Although my Mirage divine ability has some tricks, it's still inferior to Saint Golden Feather's pure gold killing skill. Saint Golden Feather is a cultivator with the bloodline of the White Tiger Sacred Beast. The attack divine ability derived from it is unparalleled. It's said that it has already derived the fourth small divine ability. The four small divine abilities protect the main divine ability, and the 5 divine abilities are combined. Its power has skyrocketed. If Saint Golden Feather really performs it, I'm afraid it won't be inferior to a great divine ability. A great divine ability is a terrifying existence that transcends divine abilities and can counterattack the lawful embodiment of heaven and earth. Even the weakest great divine ability is 3 times more powerful than an ordinary divine ability. Although the 5 divine abilities can greatly increase the power of my divine ability on the one hand, it needs time to combine the 5 divine abilities, and stability is still a problem that needs to be solved. Compared to a real, great divine ability, there are still many drawbacks. Saint Golden Feather said with some regret, "The lawful embodiment of heaven and earth realm was to constantly study the laws of heaven and earth, allowing one's attack to constantly be compatible with the laws of heaven and earth. It could even increase one's attack and defense by 3, 4, 5, and even the limit of 6 times. The strength of an lawful embodiment of heaven and earth realm expert could be judged based on the degree of increase and the time they spend in the lawful embodiment of heaven and earth. In this realm, there was no such thing as the initial stage, middle stage, late stage, or pinnacle stage. Some celestial phenomenon of earth, and 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 compared to the lawful embodiment of heaven and earth, where the difference in strength was clear, the transcendent realm was much more complicated. The divine ability derived from every cultivator could be said to be strange of every description. The probability of two cultivators of the same cultivation method producing the same divine ability was less than 1 in 10. Different divine abilities naturally had different strengths and weaknesses, and the cultivation in the divine ability realm was to constantly study one's own divine ability. On one hand, through familiarizing oneself with the divine ability, one could increase the speed of using the divine ability and reduce the energy consumption. On the other hand, one could constantly derive lesser divine abilities. After familiarizing oneself with the lesser divine ability, one could perfect the lesser divine ability and supplement it into the main divine ability, causing the power of the main divine ability to increase. Some ordinary divine abilities that were derived to the pinnacle could even be comparable to great divine abilities. Of course, it was only comparable in power. Such great divine abilities were often very troublesome to use. They either consumed a lot of energy or required a lot of time to prepare. They could not be compared to true great divine abilities. Saint Goldenfeather was currently deriving lesser divine abilities, using them to repair the deficiencies of the main divine ability and increase the power of the main divine ability. To be able to derive 4 lesser divine abilities is an extremely impressive ability in itself. Saint Goldenfeather, you don't have to be humble, Dharma Kingachu said with a faint smile. Then, let's talk about our hunting target. Not to hunt, but to capture alive, Dharma King Achu added. I need to capture this person alive. Capture alive, I understand. Saint Goldenfeather nodded slightly. However, according to the information I deliberately investigated when I came here and the ability he displayed in the battle on Mount Truth not long ago, I'm afraid it won't be easy to capture this person alive. That's why I asked the 2 of you to come and help. If it's really just a simple killing, I can do it alone. Dharma King Achu said confidently. Is that so? The most terrifying thing about him is that divine weapon of his. It's at least level 15, right? It might even be level 16. As Saint Goldenfeather said this, a trace of greed flashed in his eyes. At the same time, there was a trace of jealousy. It was amazing to have a good background. His master, esteemed Zhu Zhao, actually gave away a level 15 or even level 16 divine weapon to a golden elixir cultivator. It was really a waste of resources. Not only does this person have a suspected level 16 divine weapon, but the quality of his golden elixir is also extremely high. It's very likely that it has reached the level of a peerless golden elixir. In addition, he has mastered an explosive secret technique that can actually break my catoptric deflection. Break your catoptric deflection. Saint Goldenlight's expression froze. Isn't that the power of a great divine ability? According to my deduction, this explosive secret technique should be related to that divine weapon of his, and the burden on the divine weapon is extremely great. The number of times it can explode will not exceed 10 times. 10 attacks that are close to the level of an almighty. That's already very shocking. Disciplined King Eco Su glanced at Saint Goldenlight. I'll naturally be in charge of the head-on confrontation. Saint Goldenfeather is in charge of severely injuring him, and Saint Goldenlight is in charge of preventing him from escaping. With the 3 of us, how can we not be able to deal with a golden elixir cultivator who relies on a divine weapon to have amazing combat power? If we don't even have this bit of confidence, I'm afraid the world will laugh at us endlessly. Of course not. Saint Goldenlight hurriedly said, Don't worry, disciplined King Eco Su. Leave the matter of preventing him from escaping to me. That's good. After it's done, I, Su, will get a share of the 200 Taoist rhymes. In addition, at that time, the 16th level divine weapon and 12th level flying sword will belong to the 2 of you. Who knows, we might even be able to extort some extraordinary treasures from him. This is definitely a good deal for the 2 of you. But the price is to completely offend Tianxiang. Saint Goldenfeather said indifferently. If this deal is really a good deal, why are the 2 of us the only ones willing to accept the disciplined king's invitation in the end? When disciplined King Iko Su heard Saint Goldenfeather mention this, he could not help but look a little embarrassed. However, just as he was about to say something, he seemed to have sensed something, and his expression changed instantly. "How dare you?" The next moment, at the end of the horizon, a blazing sword light that seemed to be able to tear the sky apart brazenly broke through the air. Carrying a vast aura like the falling sun, it slashed the huge warship of the arcane art sect. Rumble. A violent explosion and dazzling flames instantly filled the entire warship. Chapter 581. Xinghui. From within the blazing flames, a furious roar rang out. Immediately after, 3 golden lights shot up into the sky, carrying a vast and terrifying aura as they soared into the clouds. Beside them, hundreds of figures soared into the void and quickly filled the surroundings, avoiding the aftermath of the explosion caused by the destruction of the battleship. More than 10 kilometers in front of them, Xinghui, who had unleashed the sunburst sword, stood in the void and looked at the 3 figures who had rushed out of the flames. He was slightly surprised. However, he was only slightly surprised. If it were before, the 3 Almighties might have caused him trouble, a headache, or even a sense of helplessness. However, now, Xinghui turned his gaze and looked at the Gold Core Realm experts who had flown up into the void from the explosion. Even though the might of his sword was enormous and peerlessly swift, under the deliberate control of its lethality, it was unable to cause too much damage to the experts of the Golden Core Realm. As a result, there were actually an entire 230 experts of the Golden Core Realm that had flown up into the sky. Even if only 70% of them were captured alive by him, it would be sufficient for him to perfect the Golden Core Realm and attempt to derive supreme ability. I think I've seen you before. Holy Sage Ingguang, who had flown up into the void, sized up Xinghui for a moment. Soon, she seemed to have thought of something. "You're the Gold Core Realm cultivator who followed us at the auction a few months ago. Mu Shengping and the rest had escaped with my help, but they were all annihilated. Even the Gold Core Realm alchemy puppet that we spent a lot of money to buy is missing. I'm afraid these things have fallen into your hands, right?" Hearing Saint Ingguang's words, a cold glint flashed in Saint Jinyu's eyes. "You dare to have ideas about my Saint Jinyu's things? You really have big guts. Looks like no matter what, I can't let you live today." Live? Xinghui looked at the 3 Almighties in front of him and did not want to waste time talking to them. In the next moment, the Sky Splitter Sword's speed exploded. His entire body was like a stream of light that shot toward the Gold Core Realm cultivators. "Damn it, your opponent is us." Seeing that Xinghui was still going to kill the Golden Core cultivator, Dharma King Isu roared angrily. The mirrored flowers, reflected moon above his head appeared again. Streams of light shot towards Xinghui, forming a space distortion in an attempt to trap him. However, before the Catoptra deflection could trap Xinghui for even a moment, the sword of sunlight's radiance had already erupted once again. The resplendent radiance, mixed with blazing shockwaves, made the void seem as if it had ignited a blazing sun, instantly annihilating all living beings and matter within a radius of several kilometers. And this was because the space here had been distorted by Dharma King Echiksu's mirror flower, Water Moon. Otherwise, if the power of the Sword of Sunburst truly erupted, it would not be difficult for it to completely ignite the space within a radius of several dozen kilometers and turn it into hell. As expected, this attack was indeed unleashed using that peerless divine weapon. This peerless divine weapon actually has such a profound ability to allow a Golden Core Realm cultivator to unleash a terrifying attack that is not inferior to a great divine ability. 16th level. This is definitely a 16th level divine weapon. If I can take this divine weapon for myself, won't I be able to move unhindered in the great divine ability realm? Holy Sage Goldenfeather's eyes lit up when he saw this. "Both of you, what are you waiting for?" Dharma King Isu shouted. Seeing this, Holy Sage Ingguang was about to unleash a divine ability to stop Tsing Hui, who was charging towards the golden core cultivators of the arcane art sect. However, before he could do anything, Holy Sage Golden Feather's voice rang in his ears. Reserve your strength. Holy Sage Ingguang was a little confused. Holy Sage, didn't we already come to an agreement with Dharma King Isu? Holy Sage Ingguang, don't forget that the arcane arts sect has 3 almighties. Why is it that only Dharma King Isu is here now? We're the other 2 almighties. Moreover, even if we don't count the 2 almighties, just the 200 over golden core elders before us, if they cooperate with Dharma King Isu, do you think we can stop them? You're saying that Dharma King Isu will attack us? That's impossible. We've already made a chaos oath. If he doesn't keep his word, we'll lose 5 chaos levels. This kind of loss isn't something that an ordinary person can bear. What's 5 chaos levels to him? No matter if it's the 12th level flying sword or the 16th level divine weapon on Tsing Hui, which one of them isn't worth 5 chaos levels and above? As long as Dharma King Isu can take over Tsing Hui's 16th level divine weapon and 12th level flying sword, not only will he be able to get back the 5 chaos levels that he lost immediately, the Tao-carrying item that he exchanged will be more than enough to raise his chaos level by another 5 levels. Holy Sage Ingguang heard Holy Sage Golden Feather's words and hesitated for a moment. In the end, she didn't say anything. Apart from this, you've also seen the power of the sword light that Tsing Hui unleashed with the help of the divine weapon. That's a terrifying attack that's almost at the level of a great magical power. If we're not careful, I'm afraid we'll be in danger of being seriously injured. I've observed carefully. This kind of attack can only be unleashed with the help of the divine weapon. There's a limit to the number of times. Why don't we use the golden core elders of the arcane arts sect to deplete the power of his divine weapon? We'll just do it as a gesture. Holy Sage Golden Feather said. Holy Sage Ingguang nodded. Although they were almighties, the attack of Tsing Hui's Sword of Sunlight was still extremely dangerous. If they weren't careful, their lives would be in danger. He, Ingguang, was only hired to help Dharma King Isu attack Tsing Hui. It didn't mean that he would risk his life for Dharma King Isu. Why not use the people of the arcane arts sect to deplete the power of Tsing Hui's divine weapon? At that moment, Holy Sage Golden Feather and Holy Sage Ingguang began to symbolically chase after Tsing Hui. Once Tsing Hui turned around and seemed to want to deal with the 2 of them, the 2 of them immediately retreated without hesitation. They didn't want to have any substantial confrontation with Tsing Hui at all. When Dharma King Isu saw this scene, he was naturally furious. Holy Sage Golden Feather, Holy Sage Ingguang, what are you doing? Don't forget our agreement. Don't worry, we'll carry out the agreement. We won't let Tsing Hui get away. That's right, Dharma King Isu. You only said that Tsing Hui's attack with the help of the divine weapon is close to a great divine power, but you didn't say that these attacks are already not inferior to almighties. If we knew that his attack was so fierce, I'm afraid we wouldn't have been willing to come over. Therefore, if we really want to attack with our full strength, we'll have to wait until the power of his divine weapon is almost exhausted and his attack falls back to the level of a normal great divine power. Holy Sage Ingguang and Holy Sage Golden Feather responded with a perfunctory attitude. You, Dharma King Isu was shocked and furious. However, he had to rely on the power of Holy Sage Golden Feather and Holy Sage Ingguang to have a chance of capturing Tsing Hui alive. He could only suppress the anger in his heart and didn't dare to flare up. Instead, he roared at the elders in the Golden Elixir realm. Quick, form a battle formation, and defend with all your might. Ao Xian's expression was gloomy as he constantly commanded the many Golden Elixir realm experts to defend with all their might. Unfortunately, Tsing Hui, who was going all out and had the advantage of the Sky Splitter, was not someone a mere Golden Elixir realm cultivator could defend against. He charged forward again and again. Otherwise, several Golden Elixir realm cultivators would be captured alive. Even if they formed a large-scale battle formation with dozens or close to 100 people, he could still rely on the advantage of the speed of the sky splitter to easily kill his way into it, shuttling back and forth. In just a short moment, the elders in the Golden Elixir realm on the arcane sect side had already collapsed. Is the arcane sect really going to be finished? How can we defend against this? How can we defend against this? Our opponent's speed is so fast that we have no time to chase after him. Once he draws his sword, someone from our side will definitely die. This isn't a battle. This is waiting for death. This is waiting for death. Although I've relied on the help of the arcane sect to achieve what I have today, I've worked hard for the arcane sect all these years and have long repaid all the favors I owe them. Today, I'll no longer risk my life for anyone. I'll only live for myself. I've cultivated to the Golden Elixir realm for less than 10 years and can enjoy a lifespan of 3,000 years. I've yet to enjoy the good years ahead of me. How can I die here in vain? Accompanied by waves of exclamations and screams, many of the elders in the arcane sect could no longer maintain their previous formation. As 20 to 30 of the remaining 200 Golden Elixir realm elders fled for their lives, a chain reaction was formed in one fell swoop. Not only did it cause the remaining elders to panic, it also caused the great formation that they had painstakingly set up to fail, causing the scene to descend into chaos. Taking advantage of the chaos, Tsinghui once again charged forward, severely injuring and capturing the Golden Elixir realm elders alive. By the time he had broken through the obstruction of Dharma King Aksu's mirage for the 6th time, the number of Golden Elixir realm elders he had captured alive had already reached 82. Including the Golden Elixir realm experts he had captured the last time, there were a total of 233 people. It could be said that almost half of the Golden Elixir realm elders in the arcane sect had been captured alive by him alone. It should be about time to capture those cultivators who have fled further away. Tsinghui's gaze fell on the many Golden Elixir realm cultivators who had already fled some distance away, and once again captured 12 of them alive. At this time, the arcane sect formation that had originally reached 230 people had already fallen to less than 100. After all, even if Tsinghui had intentionally controlled the power of his sword chi in order to capture as many Golden Elixir realm elders as possible, there were times when he could not control his own power and would still cause these Golden Elixir realm elders to fall. It was just that this ratio was slightly lower than the ratio of capturing them alive. Lord Golden Feather, Lord Reflection, the divine weapon in his hand can no longer unleash attacks that are close to the level of a great, remarkable ability. If you don't act now, when are you going to? Dharma King Eco, Su watched as the Golden Elixir realm elders, who could be considered the backbone of the arcane sect, were killed one after another. His patience towards Lord Golden Feather and Lord Reflection had already reached its limit. Lord Golden Feather and Lord Reflection did not dare to continue going easy on Yu Yang in order to prevent them from gaining nothing or even being punished by the Chaos Oath. They immediately responded, Dharma King Eco Su, use your remarkable ability to trap him. I'll use the Crimson Gold killing technique and severely injure or even kill him in one fell swoop to secure victory. All right, Dharma King Eco Su did not dare to delay. The remarkable ability of the Crimson Gold killing technique appeared above his head once again. A beam of light shot out from the mirror and landed in the void where Tsinghui was in an instant, distorting the void where he was. It's about time. The moment Tsinghui was trapped by Dharma King Eco Su's remarkable ability, his figure also stopped. As he waved his hand, the Crimson Sun Demon God, who carried 108 Crimson Sun swords on his back, had already appeared beside him. Then it expanded like a living armor, enveloping his body within. The remarkable ability is going to be released tomorrow. Please recommend it. Also, why don't everyone guess what kind of remarkable ability Tsinghui has? Chapter 582. The Scarlet Sun Demon God. The Scarlet Sun Demon God of our arcane spell sect. Seeing that Tsing Hui had taken out the Scarlet Sun demon god, disciplined King Axu's eyes turned red. How did the Scarlet Sun demon god appear in Tsing Hui's hands? All right, no wonder Dharma King Exu insisted on capturing Qing Su alive. It's actually because of the Scarlet Sun demon god. The Scarlet Sun demon god has actually fallen into the hands of this kid, Qing Su, a long time ago. That's exactly why Dharma King Exu wants to take him for himself regardless of the cost. Damn it, disciplined King Axu wants us to fight against the Scarlet Sun demon god, whose combat power is comparable to an Earth-level celestial phenomenon expert. Lord Golden Feather and Lord Reflection Light were stunned when Tsing Hui took out the Scarlet Sun demon god. Rumble. Tsing Hui, who had taken out the Scarlet Sun demon god, did not care about the three powerful figures' reactions. As the deep scarlet sword extended from the right arm of the Scarlet Sun demon god, he waved his hand, and a terrifying and scorching power was drawn out from the Scarlet Sun demon god's power source and injected into the deep scarlet sword. Coupled with the power of the gold core contained in the deep scarlet sword, the sword tore apart the distortion formed by the catoptric deflection. Blazing flames sputtered in all directions continuously. The power was so strong that it made Lord Golden Feather and Lord Reflection Light's expressions change drastically. Swoosh! Tearing apart the distortion formed by the catoptric deflection, Tsing Hui took a step forward. Although his speed was not fast, it was filled with a heavy and oppressive feeling. Moreover, as he took a step forward, the 108 Scarlet Sun swords behind him extended and charged at the same time. They emitted a dazzling sword light and shot out. The 108 Slender Scarlet Sun swords formed a sword blade storm that swept across the sky. In an instant, it enveloped disciplined King Axu and attacked him crazily. Catoptric deflection. Disciplined King Axu roared. The round mirror above his head emitted circles of ripples that distorted the surrounding space, causing the space within a radius of a few hundred meters around him to be dislocated. The 108 Scarlet Sun swords that shot into the area would be stopped by an invisible force every time they were about to hit disciplined King Axu. They would be deflected to the side and fall into the air. Some of the Scarlet Sun swords were even controlled by King Axu's divine power. To controlled swords' divine power caused the swords to collide with each other and emitted dazzling flames. Swords' radiance overflowed sword light. At first glance, it was King Axu, seemed King Axu, seemed Axu, seemed to be swallowed by the flames. The two of you attack quickly. King's Hui's swords. At this moment, Saint Master Golden Feather and Saint Master Reflection Light no longer hesitated. They gritted their teeth and performed their divine powers. Saint Master Golden Feather's divine power was the Scarlet Gold Killing Technique. A short knife that looked like the tooth of a white tiger floated in the void, emitting a scarlet light. The divine power had just been created, but the killing and biting cold aura contained in the divine power had already rushed over. This kind of condensed, solid, single-target attack was usually the most terrifying. No wonder Saint Master Golden Feather dared to say that his divine power would fight against a great divine power. Compared to Saint Master Golden Feather, Saint Master Reflection Light's divine power was much inferior. His divine power was similar to an illusion. With the help of the light, he could create dozens of clones of himself. These clones could change and move at will. Moreover, they looked exactly the same as him. Even their spiritual and genuine chi waves were no exception. Hiding the real body in the illusory body was exquisite, but the degree of threat was much inferior to Saint Master Golden Feather's. This kind of divine power, Tsing Hui operated his chi observing skill and looked at Saint Master Reflection Light. Although Saint Master Reflection Light's illusory body was exactly the same as him, no matter how real it was, there would still be differences and fluctuations in the aura. The strength of the aura was the basis of the chi-observing skill's judgment. Therefore, Saint Master Golden Feather's divine power was destroyed by Tsing Hui the moment she performed it. As for Saint Master Golden Feather's divine power, Seeing that Tsing Hui was rapidly approaching him, Saint Master Golden Feather had no time to perfect the scarlet gold killing technique with his lesser divine power and push it to the great divine power level. With a roar, the dagger-like knife chopped down from the sky. With a biting cold scarlet light, it filled the void and completely filled the space within a radius of several hundred meters around Tsing Hui. Every streak of scarlet light could become the attack trajectory of the scarlet gold killing technique. There was no way to defend or dodge. Since there's no way to defend or dodge, then I'll let you defend. Attack where he has to defend. The Scarlet Sun Demon God's huge body surged. The Scarlet Abyss Sword, which looked a little small, shot out a huge sword light that was more than 10 meters long. In the sword light, there was a strong light, as if there was a sun hidden in it. Just the light emitted from the sword light had completely ignited the space around the sword. When the sword really chopped down, the area within a radius of several hundred meters was filled with rolling heat. It was suffocating. Like a roaring fire dragon, it completely covered Saint Master Golden Feather's body. Damn it! Turn! As the fire dragon swept over, Saint Master Golden Feather had to twist his hand. The scarlet gold killing technique, which almost left Tsing Hui with no way to dodge, suddenly reversed. Under the trajectory marked by the scarlet light, it chopped down on Tsing Hui's huge flaming sword at an incredible speed. Rumble. Flames soared into the sky. For a moment, it was as if a meteor had crashed into the atmosphere. The space within a radius of several thousand meters was ignited at the same time. And at the core of the collision, the burning flames seemed to be suppressed by an invisible giant hand, forming a fiery vacuum. In the center of the fiery vacuum, the dagger formed by the scarlet gold killing technique and the sword light from the Scarlet Abyss sword froze at the same time. Crack. Finally, the frozen scene lasted for a moment before it was broken by a soft sound. The tip of the dagger, formed by the scarlet gold killing technique, first had a large number of cracks. Then the cracks spread to the entire dagger, and in the next moment, it shattered with a bang. On the other hand, the sword light from the Scarlet Abyss sword that had been infused with the Scarlet Sun Demon God's power source, although the light was dim and on the verge of collapse, but it was still able to maintain a 10-meter-long sword body. It seems that your Crimson Gold killing skill is much weaker than I imagined. Since your Crimson Gold killing skill is useless, let me send you on your way. After destroying the Scarlet Gold killing technique, Tsing Hui suddenly leaped forward again. The Scarlet Sun Demon God held the terrifying huge sword that was burning with blazing flames, sweeping up the dazzling flames that filled the space within a radius of several hundred meters. He charged straight at Saint Master Golden Feather in front of him. Before he arrived, the suffocating power of the flames had already surged over. He was really like a peerless demon god that had broken out of the sulfur hell. Take my attack. At this moment, Saint Master Ingguang brazenly attacked. Terrifying energy waves spread out from his body and swept over, making him look like a meteor that tore through the sky. His aura was so fierce and vast that no one doubted that if they were hit by his attack, the result would be earth-shattering. However, faced with such a powerful attack, Tsing Hui did not even look at it. He allowed it to crash into his body and turn into a cluster of flowing light. He then took a large step forward and slashed down with the terrifying huge sword that was burning with blazing flames in his hand. Wherever the tip of the sword passed by, the space became distorted due to the high temperature. Saint Master Golden Feather, who was under the sword, had a drastic change in expression. A pair of wings extended from his back, and he quickly retreated. Saint Master Golden Feather's gold referred to his unparalleled scarlet gold killing technique. Feather referred to the pair of flowing light wings that were as fast as an 11th level flying sword. It was precisely because of the absolute combination of attack and speed that he was able to make a name for himself in the Transcendent Realm. He even had a glorious battle record of killing 3 Almighties. From these two aspects, his attack method and movement path were similar to Tsing Hui's. It was a pity. Apart from his defensive methods and variations, his strongest attack and fastest speed were much slower than Sing Hui's. Swish! The moment Saint Master Golden Feather retreated, the Sky Splitter Sword's sword light had already shot out from the Scarlet Sun Demon God. It was so fast that it was almost impossible to see with one's eyes as it viciously slashed at Saint Master Golden Feather's retreating body. Even though Saint Master Golden Feather sensed danger and immediately condensed a stream of scarlet gold light to block the Sky Splitter Sword's attack, the kinetic energy within the sword still caused him to tremble and lose his balance. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Sing Hui advanced brazenly. The Scarlet Sun Demon God's 10-meter-long sword slashed down with a boom. Like an undying sun, it completely swallowed Saint Master Golden Feather's body. With a violent boom, a visible wave of heat exploded as a shock wave, reducing all the airflow within 10,000 meters to dust. In the midst of the blazing flames, Golden Feather Holy Sage spat out a mouthful of blood. Like a cannonball, he flew back and crashed into the sea below. The huge force almost flattened the surface of the sea below, and a small tsunami of a dozen meters high was set off in the surrounding dozens of kilometers. Saint Master Golden Feather. Saint Master Ing Guang exclaimed when she saw Saint Master Golden Feather being slashed into the sea by Tsing Hui's sword. She turned into a dozen figures and rushed over. Tsing Hui glanced over and instantly caught sight of Saint Master Ing Guang's body among the dozen figures. Then he slashed horizontally. The blazing flames were mixed with the power to annihilate an army, and nearly half of the dozen figures were engulfed in it. Bang! Saint Master Ing Guang's attack fell heavily on the layer of scarlet flowing light on the surface of the Scarlet Sun Demon God's body. Immediately, circles of light burst out from the layer of scarlet flowing light and formed a visible shockwave near the Scarlet Sun Demon God's body. It was so powerful that it could crush any cultivator below the Saint Realm. What a strong defense! Saint Master Ing Guang's eyes widened. However, before he had time to be shocked, a burst of blazing flames mixed with suffocating heat rolled over. As Saint Master Ing Guang raised his head, he was shocked to find that the 10-meter-long giant sword was already very close to him. Oh no! Saint Master Ing Guang retreated quickly, and the aura of the divine technique surged all over his body, causing his speed to soar in an instant. But the next moment, Tsing Hui's left hand had already reached him, as if he had already expected his reaction. The huge palm was like a net swatting a fly, and it hit Saint Master Ing Guang hard. And the direction that hit him was the 10-meter-long giant sword in his right hand. No! With a horrified scream, Holy Senior Ing Guang's figure collided with the 10-meter-long giant sword that was slashing down. With sparks flying in all directions, Holy Senior Ing Guang's body was cut in half in the air with a shrill scream. Chapter 583. Sliced at the waist. Holy Saint Reflecting Light was sliced to the waist by the Scarlet Sun Demon God controlled by Tsing Hui. Holy Saint Golden Feather, who was about to break out of the water after being slapped into the bottom of the sea, could not help but shiver when he saw this terrifying scene. He felt a bone-piercing chill running through his limbs and toward his heart. It was so cold that he found it difficult to breathe. This is too terrifying. This is too frightening. Is this the power of the Scarlet Sun Demon God? Holy Saint Golden Feather shivered at the bottom of the sea. In the next moment, he dashed toward the bottom of the sea without hesitation. Then he escaped. You saw through my divine power. Holy Saint Reflecting Light held her breath as she glared at Tsing Hui. However, Tsing Hui did not reply. He sensed Holy Saint Reflecting Light's consciousness, divine soul power, and body that was emitting terrifying vitality and energy waves. Suddenly, he had an idea and performed a supreme divine power. Flower blooming instantly, a 7-colored flower fell and enveloped Holy Saint Reflecting Light in the blink of an eye. Before her consciousness completely dissipated, it extracted all her essence, chi, and spirit from her body and took it away, forming a bright red fruit of Tao. This fruit of Tao, Tsing Hui sensed it carefully for a moment. He could not help but look delighted. Under the divine power, the quality of the fruit of Tao can be improved by a lot. He was overjoyed by this discovery. However, although Holy Saint Reflecting Light was dead and Holy Saint Golden Feather had escaped, there was still Dharma King Eccentric waiting for him to deal with. Moreover, Dharma King Eccentric was the main person he really needed to kill. Otherwise, as long as Dharma King Eccentric was alive, the Hidden Sword Mainland and the Eastern Wilderness Mainland would be under his threat. The Scarlet Sun Demon God was created by the Arcane Art sect. It's a worthy death for you to die under the sword of the Scarlet Sun Demon God. Sing Hui spun and pounced towards Dharma King Isu swiftly. Right now, Akaraja Aksu was using his water mirror's image to constantly control the 108 Scarlet Sun swords around him, causing them to clash constantly. Many of the Scarlet Sun swords had already been damaged. In such a short period of time, 26 of the 108 Scarlet Sun swords had already lost their intelligence and energy, falling to the ground. It would probably take time and energy to nourish them again. Among the remaining 82 Crimson Sun swords, many of them had dimmed. Their speed and lethality had been greatly reduced, and it would not be long before they were all destroyed by Dharma King Eccentric. From this point of view, Disciplined King Iko Su was indeed worthy of being the second strongest expert of the meteorite Iron Continent. If Disciplined King Iko Su were to fight against the Scarlet Sun Demon God who was not under anyone's control, the final outcome would still be unknown. Disciplined King Eccentric had already sensed the abnormality when Tsing Hui was charging towards him. His gaze immediately turned towards Saint Master Ing Guang and Saint Master Golden Feather. When he saw Saint Master Ing Guang, who had been cut in half and died on the spot, and Saint Master Golden Feather, who had fled and whose aura could not even be sensed, his eyes immediately showed pain and unwillingness. Damn it! The Scarlet Sun Demon God that my arcane sect had spent so much effort to create has actually become someone else's wedding dress. However, do you think you can enjoy this Scarlet Sun Demon God with peace of mind? I'm going to spread the news and inform the powerful experts of the other sects on the meteorite Iron Continent. From now on, you'll be subjected to endless assassinations by me and these powerful experts who covet the Scarlet Sun Demon God. I hope you can still protect the Scarlet Sun Demon God by then. After saying that, he actually made a prompt decision and turned to leave. As the owner of the Scarlet Sun Demon God, he naturally understood how powerful the Scarlet Sun Demon God was. Going against it would only lead to a dead end. Temporarily avoiding it was his only option. Leave? Since I've already appeared here, do you think you can leave? Tsing Hui waved his hand, and the flowing light boundary formed by the Lihin Heaven Realm immediately enveloped both Disciplined King Exu and Tsing Hui. The Lihin Heaven Realm. The Lihin Heaven Realm. This is the Lihin Heaven Realm of the Lihin Holy Man. This is the magic item that made the Lihin Holy Man famous. How could it be in your hands? The moment Disciplined King Exu was enveloped by the Lihin Heaven Realm, he truly felt the fear of death in his heart. In a few days, the Lihin Heaven Realm has recovered slightly. Even though it hasn't recovered to its peak, as long as I don't give you too many opportunities to destroy the Lihin Heaven Realm, it's more than enough to deal with you. Tsing Hui clenched his fist as he sprinted toward Disciplined King Exu. Instantly, the space within the Lihin Heaven Realm shrunk continuously, closing the distance between Tsing Hui and Disciplined King Exu. Very soon, the two of them were about to engage in a life-and-death battle in a small space with a diameter of less than 100 meters. The Scarlet Sun Fiend God's greatest weakness was its speed. With the Lihin Heaven Realm's ability to shrink the battlefield, this weakness of speed was completely compensated for. In fact, even Disciplined King Exu's Katoptra deflection was severely restrained in the Lihin Heaven Realm. The Katoptra deflection could distort the space outside, but after this space became the home of the Lihin Heaven Realm, how could he reverse it? No! Dharma King Aksu roared angrily. The mirror light above his head, formed from the mirrored flowers, reflected moon, spread in all directions in a futile attempt to break free of the hatred parting heaven's restraint and control over this space. But the results were minimal. And while he was attacking the Lihin heaven realm with all his might with the catoptric deflection, the Scarlet Sun Fiend God that Tsing Hui was piloting had already charged in front of disciplined King Exu. And then, slash. He raised his sword and slashed. Buzz, buzz. At the critical moment, disciplined King Exu hurriedly channeled the power of the catoptric deflection to block the Scarlet Sun Fiend God's thunderous slash. However, it was useless. Now that the space around disciplined King Exu was sealed, there was no way to dodge, and he could only use the catoptric deflection to block with difficulty. The Scarlet Sun Fiend God's slash did not break the catoptric deflection. No matter. If one slash did not work, then 2 slashes. If 2 slashes did not work, then 3 slashes for slashes, 5 slashes, 6 slashes, slash. 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 Rumble. Violent booms reverberated continuously in the narrow space of the Lihin heaven realm. Even though disciplined King Exu had extraordinary means, he could not dodge or hide. He could only endure the thunderous slashes of the Scarlet Sun Fiend God. I can't accept this. The catoptric deflection finally shattered after being hit by the Scarlet Sun Fiend God's 23rd slash. Accompanied by disciplined King Exu's sorrowful roar, his entire body was crushed under the giant flaming sword and turned into ashes. Phew! After killing disciplined King Exu, Tsing Hui heaved a long sigh of relief. Disciplined King Exu's determination to fight to the death and his unflinching attitude cut off Tsing Hui's thoughts of capturing him alive. Otherwise, disciplined King Exu might turn the tables if he was not careful. Energy consumption, 14%, 14%. This Scarlet Sun Fiend God is indeed a huge energy user. At this rate, a great sun core will be completely destroyed after 6 or 7 battles. No wonder the Scarlet Sun cult only managed to create 3 Scarlet Sun Fiend Gods back then. It's not that they did not have enough energy to continue creating them. It's just that they did not have enough great sun cores to drive them. I reckon the energy consumption of 3 Scarlet Sun Fiend Gods is almost enough to bankrupt them. Tsing Hui glanced at the void battleship that was burning fiercely as it fell into the sea. He did not spend any more effort to continue killing the fleeing arcane art cult members. It would take too much effort, now that he had exposed the Scarlet Sun Fiend God. It would not be long before the surrounding almighties would pounce on him like sharks that had smelled blood. With the Scarlet Sun Fiend God in hand, he did not care about 3 to 5 almighties. However, once the number of almighties broke through to the double digits, the consequences would be unimaginable. With the help of the incarnation technique, Tsing Hui's figure shuttled and soon appeared on the Hidden Sword Continent. When he arrived on the Hidden Sword Continent's burial peak, he immediately activated the Burial Sword Peak's Great Formation and enveloped the mountain peak within. He then began to move the captured Golden Elixir Realm cultivators out one by one and woke them up one by one. You have a chance to escape, and that is to use the divine art. If you can escape from this mountain peak, you may still have a way out. Tsing Hui said to the Golden Elixir Realm Elder who had been woken up. The divine art. The Golden Elixir Realm Elder's expression was extremely ugly. He immediately begged earnestly, "My lord, us cultivators have experienced countless hardships and dangers in the process of refining our golden elixirs. We have yet to experience the good years ahead of us. I don't want to die in vain like this. I'm willing to serve you from today onwards, at all costs. Please, my lord, give me a way out. You don't have the divine art? I'm just a first-rank son of chaos. Many of the Tao-carrying treasures have been shared by the various elders. How could I possibly have a chance?" The Golden Elixir Realm Elder said bitterly. Then, "I'm sorry." As soon as Tsing Hui finished speaking, he did not give the Golden Elixir Realm Elder a chance to react. Brilliant sword intent suddenly erupted, illuminating the Elder's mental world and severely injuring it on the spot. Then, the flower-blossoming divine art was unleashed. As the Golden Elixir Realm Elder screamed, it did not take long for all of his essence, qi, and spirit to be absorbed and condensed into a fruit of Tao. The fruit of Tao emitted powerful energy waves. As he looked at the fruit of Tao, Xing Hui fell silent. He was very clear that he was drifting further and further away from the path of morality. His bottom line had been trampled and reshaped again and again since the incident in the Union of Demon Hunters. What he was doing right now was even more immoral and immoral. But Xing Hui closed his eyes and held the fruit of Tao. He sensed the majestic energy that seemed to be completely condensed from the essence of life emanating from the fruit of Tao. Since I've already made a mistake, I can only continue to make a mistake. If I die, I don't care what happens. In the next moment, the fruit of Tao condensed from the essence, qi, and spirit of a golden elixir realm cultivator was refined in one fell swoop. The majestic energy contained within was completely poured into the scarlet abyss sword. Continue. After refining the fruit of Tao, Xing Hui's eyes flashed with a cold light. The next golden elixir realm elder was once again pulled out from his personal space. Use the divine art and try to escape. This is your only chance. Bang. Even though this golden elixir realm elder knew that his chances of escape were slim, he did not hesitate. The divine art surged, and the energy waves all over his body instantly soared. He rose from the golden elixir realm to the level of a perfected superior grade golden elixir realm cultivator. After all, the minimum requirement to derive a divine art was a perfected superior grade golden elixir realm cultivator. Unfortunately, trying to escape from Xing Hui's hands at this level was still wishful thinking. Not long after, this golden elixir realm elder was also transformed into a fruit of Tao. Furthermore, it was a superior grade fruit of Tao that contained energy several times that of an ordinary fruit of Tao. Even though I lost a 10th level chaos technique and 50 Taoist rhythms, the energy contained in a superior grade fruit of Tao is nearly 10 times that of an ordinary fruit of Tao. It's close to the level of a golden crow's inner core. It's worth it. Chapter 584. A month later, Xing Hui looked at the deep scarlet sword in his hand, his eyes sparkling. The deep scarlet sword was overflowing with red light. As he activated the deep scarlet sword with his sword intent, visible red energy ripples spread out. The pressure contained in the ripples was so strong that it was almost tangible. If an ordinary person were to stand in the range of the energy ripples, they would definitely be suffocated by the powerful pressure. Finally, it's complete. Xing Hui looked at the deep scarlet sword in his hand with an indescribable complexity in his heart. To be able to cultivate a sovereign golden core to complete in such a short period of time was an unimaginable feat for anyone. Even for the geniuses of the heavenly Tao, divine wilderness, and eternal, if they wanted to cultivate a golden core to complete, let alone a sovereign golden core, even a peerless golden core would take a few hundred years. This was under the condition that the sect behind them would spare no effort to support them. If they relied on their own cultivation, the time limit would be at least 1,000 years. Furthermore, they might not even be able to take the final step to complete the golden core. As for him, relying on the extremely evil immortal technique, instant blooming flower, he had shortened the time limit of a few hundred years to a few months. Unbelievable. However, thinking of the method he had used to cultivate his golden core to complete the golden core, Xing Hui fell silent. He slowly put down the deep scarlet sword and closed his eyes. After a while, he opened his eyes again. A dim light flashed in the depths of his eyes. Since I've done it, there's nothing to regret. Perhaps I will go to hell in the future. However, instead of using the word morality to bind my bottom line, causing me to suffer the condemnation and torment of my conscience, why not completely let go? Morality? Benevolence? It's just a shackle to cover up the fear in my heart. As for the original sin of fear, it stems from weakness. As long as I can continue to be tyrannical, traverse the heavens and earth, look down on everything and become invincible, then I will never have to feel fear. As long as I can be strong enough to silence everyone who stands out to criticize me, And as time passes, no one will say that I'm wrong. Then I will be right. I will be the truth. I will be the law. I will be the king. Kacha. As Tsing Hui's conviction became firm, something in his heart seemed to shatter. All the shackles and restraints in his mind collapsed with a loud bang. His spirit seemed to have completed a transformation at this moment. It was a transformation that had completely integrated into this world. Survival of the fittest, survival of the fittest. In the struggle for the great Tao, there is only death. This path is destined to be full of competition, destined to be full of killing. It is destined that only a few people can climb to the peak by stepping on the corpses of countless competitors. If I follow the morals in my heart and be bound by the benevolence and righteousness in my heart, it is equivalent to binding my own hands and feet to walk on this path of death. Then, what can I use to compete with others? Why do I have to climb to the peak, overlook the world, and do whatever I want to do? Tsing Hui slowly stood up. His aura changed at this moment, and his mental state gradually sublimated. Break the shackles in your heart. Break all the shackles. He wanted to return to Earth and reunite with his family, friends, and senior sisters. He also wanted to reach the peak and see the scenery at the peak of the cultivation path. If this path was destined to be full of thorns and obstacles, then let him give up everything and wield the sword. Kill your way out. I don't need anyone to judge whether I'm right or wrong. I only need to be worthy of myself. Those who don't follow, speak with my sword. Rumble. The moment Tsing Hui completed his spiritual transformation, a brand new sword intent erupted from his spiritual world. Brilliant and blazing, majestic and mighty, immeasurable power. At this moment, the conviction contained in the sword intent was no longer pure and indomitable. On this foundation, there was a kind of sharpness and dominance. Wherever the sword pointed, all who stood in its way would die. With this conviction, a flash of inspiration appeared in Tsing Hui's mind. In an instant, countless inspirations burst out from his mind and filled his spiritual world. Divine ability. My divine ability. Buzz. The Scarlet Abyss sword shook violently. The golden core that had fused with the Scarlet Abyss sword seemed to have turned into a scorching sun and exploded with a bang. Endless light and heat exploded from the Scarlet Abyss sword and completely engulfed the entire Scarlet Abyss sword. The resplendent brilliance pierced through the Burial Sword Peak's protective array and went straight into the clouds, shocking the entire Hidden Sword sect. In an instant, countless elders, deacons, and disciples of the Hidden Sword sect rushed out of their secluded cultivation and looked at the sword light that went straight into the clouds in the direction of the Burial Sword Peak, with faces full of shock. It's Grand Elder Tsing Hui. That's Grand Elder Tsing Hui's aura. What is Grand Elder Tsing Hui doing? The Burial Sword Peak's protective array is in an active state. Although this protective array is a killing array and does not have the ability to distort space and form a sealed battlefield, it has an astonishing effect on the obstruction of the world's origin energy. This circle of sword light can actually break through the protective array and go straight into the clouds. This is simply divine ability. Divine ability. I feel a trace of divine ability's aura in there. Furthermore, it's not an ordinary divine ability. Could it be that Grand Elder Tsing Hui has already deduced several lesser divine abilities in such a short period of time and is now using those lesser divine abilities to complete his main divine ability so that his main divine ability will have an astonishing power that is not inferior to a great divine ability? Hidden Sword Sect's acting sect master Xiao Luiying, Hidden Sword Venerable's second disciple Duan Jianfeng, Iron Jade Peak's peak master Zhou Tsuinyu, and a group of people from the Divine Grace Chamber of Commerce all looked at the sword light on the Burial Sword Peak in shock and were unable to recover for a long time. At the core of the Burial Sword Peak, Tsing Hui's transformed sword intent had already completely fused with the Scarlet Abyss sword's sword intent and the perfect Sovereign Golden Core. The three resonated with each other and constantly reflected each other, faintly producing a peculiar change. This change was led by Tsing Hui's transformed sword intent, assisted by the Scarlet Abyss sword's sword intent, and supported by the perfect sovereign golden core, causing the three to almost fuse into one and become indistinguishable from each other. It was like a budding seed that was suddenly injected with a strong vitality, completely evolving and breaking out of the ground at this moment. Divine ability. My divine ability. Tsing Hui quietly felt the little changes of the sovereign golden core as it broke out of its cocoon and became a butterfly. Divine ability. Every cultivator's divine ability was different. Even if two people cultivated the same cultivation method and used the same resources and experiences on the path of cultivation, the divine ability that was derived from them could be completely different due to the different thoughts, beliefs, and understandings of the two. Thus, two completely different divine abilities were derived. The evolution of Tsing Hui's divine ability this time was guided by the jump of his spirit and the vibration of his sword intent. The evolution of the divine ability was completely led by his own sword intent. In addition, his foundation was in the Scarlet Abyss sword. When he finally broke through the core and became a god, the derived divine ability was perfectly injected into the Scarlet Abyss sword and the transformed sword intent. After this transformation was completed, his divine ability actually didn't really condense into a real entity, nor did it transform into a powerful and peerless killing move. Instead, it transformed into a peculiar state, a state of aurora that could be obtained when his sword intent and the power of his natal divine sword were stimulated to the extreme. So this is my divine ability. Tsing Hui carefully felt the various changes that were formed after the perfect golden core and frowned slightly. When the sword intent is stimulated to the extreme, it can activate the divine ability. After the divine ability is activated, its speed will be significantly increased. This is a bit similar to the rainbow transformation technique. However, the rainbow transformation art is purely about speed. My divine ability, on the other hand, perfectly fuses speed and attack together, using terrifying speed to form an attack. Compared to the rainbow transformation art, it has many more variations and can be controlled. Tsing Hui carefully felt it. However, the true power of the divine ability could only be known after using it. Whoosh! In the next moment, Tsing Hui's figure had already turned into sword light and shot straight into the clouds. In an instant, he tore through the clouds and disappeared from the hidden sword sect. So fast, so fast. Oh my god, I actually couldn't react in time. Is it because of the 12th order flying sword? But I don't think I saw Grand Elder Tsing Hui fly on his sword. He relied on his own speed to reach a level not inferior to a 12th order flying sword. The moment Tsing Hui shot out from the burial sword peak, countless golden core experts in the hidden sword sect exclaimed at the same time. However, Tsing Hui did not know about this. His mind was immersed in the changes of the divine ability that had just been derived. He did not even notice that he was not flying on his sword at this moment, but he had erupted with a terrifying speed that was not inferior to a 12th order flying sword. Multitasking, he quickly appeared in an uninhabited mountain thousands of kilometers away from the hidden sword sect. Let me see what kind of changes the activation of the divine ability will bring about. Tsing Hui took a deep breath. Rumble. The sword intent in his spiritual world brazenly exploded like a scorching sun. Endless brilliance mixed with blazing sword intent was used with a loud bang, completely pouring into the deep scarlet sword in his hand that had been remodeled and contained an even stronger power. With the guidance of the sword intent, the deep scarlet sword was activated. His sword intent and the deep scarlet sword were completely integrated into one, causing the surrounding world to become slightly slower. It was not actually slow. Instead, his mind was slow. To put it bluntly, his mind had become faster, so much so that when he looked at the outside world, he instinctively felt that everything in the outside world had become even slower. This is my divine ability? Tsing Hui's eyes widened slightly. In the next moment, the sword intent was activated and man and sword became one. His entire body seemed to have transformed into a flying sword. instantly shooting out explosively. Whoosh! Space was torn apart. The moment he shot out with all his strength, he could even clearly see circles of ripples spreading out in all directions with him as the center. That was the trajectory formed after tearing apart the vacuum at an extremely fast speed, just like how a boat would create ripples on the surface of a lake when moving on the surface of the lake. At this moment, he was able to create the same effect in the void. Too fast. Too fast. Sing Hui's eyes shone with a bright light. This speed was not just a simple flight speed, but an increase in all aspects. Attack speed, static vision, motion capture, nerve reaction, true chi flow circulation. The moment the divine ability was activated, it was as if he had been added with a speed change gear, directly escaping from a low-speed world into a high-speed world. That feeling was speechless. Chapter 585. Phew! As the burst of sword essence came to an end, Sing Hui panted slightly and exited that wonderful state. This is my divine sense. Sure enough, the derivation of divine sense is closely related to the cultivation method and experience of the cultivator. I can find traces of the rainbow transformation technique, the torch dragon talent, the golden crow talent, and other means in this divine sense. In addition, the most pressing thing in my will is time. First, it was the 10-year deadline. Now that the 10-year deadline has passed, the urgency of time is constantly forcing me. Time can also derive speed, which then formed this strange divine sense that allows me to escape into a high-speed world. Sing Hui's mind was filled with thoughts. Perhaps it was due to the ultimate sword Dao, but his divine ability had changed quite a bit compared to the conventional divine ability. Other divine senses were basically calculated by how many times they were used, but his divine sense was calculated by how long it could last. The divine sense could last as long as the burst of sword essence could last. Moreover, he could sense that the more violent the burst of sword essence was, the more powerful the divine sense would be, and the more significant the acceleration effect would be. Speed often represented attack. A static arrow could not hurt anyone, but when it was shot out, it could take away a life. Moreover, the faster it was shot out, the more lethal it would be. Just like Sing Hui's divine sense, when his speed was increased, his attack would also become fiercer. However, correspondingly, the load on his body would also increase. Looks like I have to find some time to train my physique. Otherwise, if my body can't withstand the air pressure when I move at high speed and the various recoil effects when I slash out with my sword, it will be too late for regrets if I end up losing 800 of my own men every time I pass through. Sing Hui thought to himself. He had decided to cultivate the body forging technique that he had obtained from Shunchong in the map of the War of Chaos. Although the body forging technique was not very advanced, it could allow him to cultivate to the 9 changes realm, which meant that his physical strength was equivalent to the level of an expert in the endless realm. Although a cultivator's vital chi and vital essence had the effect of nourishing the body, most people's physical strength was almost a realm lower than their own. Take Sing Hui, for example. Although he had a good foundation and his physical body had broken through many limits, in terms of physical strength, he was at most on par with an expert in the green netherworld realm. At least, he could not use his physical body to resist the power of the battle body. I wonder what level my divine sense is at. Is it a great divine sense or a supreme divine sense? In terms of power, it's not something a great divine sense can compare to. The attack amplification effect brought by speed and acceleration can definitely increase my combat strength by several times. This is definitely not something a great divine sense can bring. However, perhaps because I've changed to the ultimate sword principle, my divine sense has also changed. It actually relies on the time and strength of the explosion of sword intent to maintain the duration of the divine sense. As Sing Hui flew toward the hidden sword sect, he was deep in thought. However, after a while, he had already sensed something and suddenly stopped in the void. I didn't use the sky splitter sword? Sing Hui glanced below him. In the next moment, divine light condensed, and his body shot out like a sword. Swoosh! The clouds were torn apart. The atmosphere was cut. Tsing Hui's body directly drew a ditch in the sky and flew dozens of kilometers in an instant. My flying speed has been enhanced by a lot after testing this result. Tsing Hui waved his right hand, and the Scarlet Abyss sword, which was entrenched in energy in his body, suddenly shot out and appeared in the palm of his hand. Mysterious light flowed and turned into a divine sword. Then a sword technique was quickly displayed in his hand: flying stab, swift slash, horizontal sweep, flat slice, counterattack, force slash, fast. 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 Faster than the limit. Unbelievably fast. Unbelievably fast. After a while, the Scarlet Abyss sword turned into a stream of light again and hid in Tsing Hui's body. This divine ability has increased my speed by a huge margin. Furthermore, it's not an increase when the divine ability is activated. Instead, it's a constant increase. It can even be said that it's a modification. It has improved my nerves, vision, jinshi, and other aspects, and I've gained a new understanding of the word speed. This discovery made Tsing Hui no longer have any doubts about the position of his divine sense. A supreme divine sense. It was definitely a supreme divine sense. Other than a supreme divine sense, he could not imagine what other means could produce such a solidified increase. The increase in my reaction, the increase in my vision, the increase in the speed at which my vital chi circulates. All these effects have gathered together, causing me to be much stronger than before, even when I'm not in the state of activating my divine ability. I reckon that there will be hardly anyone in the divine ability realm who will be able to stand against me. Even if I'm unable to block the divine ability of my enemy, I can rely on my extremely sharp reaction to detect it beforehand and dodge it. If I were to face Dharma King Eccentric again, I don't need to directly tear apart his divine ability of Mirage. I can rely on the speed at which my body changes to surpass the speed at which he distorts space. Although Dharma King Eccentric's Mirage divine sense was strong, the range of space it could distort was limited. He could completely avoid it in advance. Swish! Sword light broke through the air, and Tsing Hui directly landed on the Hidden Sword Peak, the main peak of the Hidden Sword sect. Seeing Tsing Hui's arrival, the upper echelons of the Hidden Sword Peak, who were still discussing the change of the Hidden Sword Peak, all rushed out. Greetings, Grand Elder. Greetings, Grand Elder Tsing Hui. Grand Elder, your aura seems to have faintly changed. Did you have a breakthrough in your cultivation? Tsing Hui did not explain too much to these people. He only instructed Xiao Luing, gather all the golden core cultivators of the Hidden Sword sect who are not in seclusion. I need to conduct an experiment. Xiao Luing was startled, but still agreed without hesitation. Yes, Grand Elder, please wait a moment. I will go gather them now. As soon as possible, go to the sword appraising platform. I will wait for you there. After saying that, Tsing Hui rose on a sword again and was about to land on the sword appraising platform. However, after a moment, he seemed to have thought of something. The sword appraising platform is not suitable. Go to the Misty Cloud Mountain, which is 1,400 kilometers away from the sect. Yes. Tsing Hui nodded and headed in the direction of the Misty Cloud Mountain. Xiao Luiying and the others naturally did not dare to let Tsing Hui wait for too long. Less than an hour after Tsing Hui arrived at the Misty Cloud Mountain, there were already dozens of Golden Core cultivators flying over. After waiting for a while, the number of Golden Core elders and peak masters who arrived at the Misty Cloud Mountain had already reached 50. This was also a nameless mountain within the Hidden Sword sect. It was rare to see people here. Usually, some Golden Core cultivators would come here to try out some secret techniques. Grand Elder, almost everyone has arrived. The rest are either unable to make it back in time, or tied up by other matters and have no time to be distracted. Xiao Luiying was a little ashamed. 50, that's about it. Qing Su glanced past the Golden Core elders one by one and nodded slightly. Very good. I've called you over to cooperate with an experiment of mine. Now, the 50 of you will form the strongest battle formation and attack me with your full strength. 50 of us will form the strongest offensive formation. Xiao Luiying was slightly stunned. Then, he asked again with uncertainty. Grand Elder, you want us to form a formation to attack you? The 50 of us can form the strongest constellation wheel formation in the sect. This is a pure offensive formation. If we fight head-on, it won't be any weaker than an almighty. Very good. Let's use this formation. Come on, Xinghui said. Xiao Luiying and the others looked at each other and hesitated for a moment. In the end, they decided to trust Xinghui and said, Then Grand Elder, you have to be careful. We'll attack now. As he said that, he had already waved his hand. Immediately, several dozen golden core cultivators rapidly gathered into a formation, surrounding Qing Su in the center. Grand Elder, be careful. Our attack is coming. Let's do it, Xinghui said calmly. Xiao Luiying didn't hesitate anymore. Following his lead, the 50 golden core cultivators attacked at the same time. In an instant, a powerful energy wave filled the void. It almost sealed the space within a few hundred meters around Xinghui, leaving no traces behind. Xinghui looked up and focused his gaze. With the improvement of his vision and reaction speed, he could clearly see the attack trajectories of the 50 golden core cultivators. In the next moment, he had already made the most accurate response. In an instant, even though the attacks of the golden core cultivators were like a storm, Xinghui, who was in the middle of this force, was constantly flashing and dodging the attacks easily. This Xiao Luiying, who was leading the attack, looked at Xinghui, who was casually dodging the attacks of the 50 golden core cultivators. He couldn't help but widen his eyes. He can actually dodge to such an extent. This is your attack? I haven't even fought back yet, but your attacks can't even withstand the corner of my clothes. If I really let you fight against an almighty, how are you going to defend against it? Xinghui's voice suddenly came from the storm-like attacks. In an instant, Xiao Luiying and the others couldn't help but grit their teeth. Be careful, Grand Elder. We are about to use the power of the Golden Core. Come, Sect Leader, are we really going to use the power of the Golden Core? Using the power of the Golden Core is equivalent to using all of your strength in a battle of life and death. I think a Golden Core cultivator at the side was a little shocked. Can't all of you see? The Supreme Elder wants to use us to test his limits. Yet now, all of us 50 Golden Core Stage Elders and Peak Masters are attacking together, yet we don't even have the ability to make the Supreme Elder feel danger. How can this be called an experiment? Attack with all you've got. Xiao Luiying roared and unleashed the power of the Golden Core. A sword light that was several times stronger than before tore through the void, like a giant hand that was about to split the earth, and slashed towards Xinghui. The other Golden Core cultivators and Peak Masters saw that Xiao Luiying had really unleashed the power of the Golden Core. In addition to Xinghui's urging, they had no choice but to follow suit and unleash their attacks. In an instant, streams of light that were much stronger than before tore through the sky, almost drowning the void where Xinghui was. Is this all you can do? Xinghui's figure flashed and shuttled through the torrent of energy at an unbelievable speed. It was as if he was a surfer walking in the heart of the storm. No matter how violent and ferocious the waves in front of him were, he was always able to turn the danger into safety. This scene fell into the eyes of Xiao Luiying and the other Golden Core cultivators of the Hidden Sword sect, and they immediately widened their eyes in shock. Almighties are actually this strong. It's not the Almighties who are this strong, it's Grand Elder. I've seen the power of Almighties with my own eyes. Although they are said to be invincible, when faced with a battle formation formed by tens or hundreds of Golden Core cultivators, they could only dodge and defeat them one by one. There's no one like Grand Elder who can ignore us 50 Golden Core cultivators like we're nothing. Grand Elder actually has this kind of power? I wonder if he or our Hidden Sword sect's venerable Hidden Sword is stronger. Many of the elders were shocked, and they looked at Xinghui with even more respect. What you hear is false, but what you see is true. If they didn't see it with their own eyes, they would never understand the power of Grand Elder Xinghui, whom venerable hidden sword sect had invited to look after their sect. Chapter 586. Let's try again. Attack with all your might within a 1,000-meter radius with me as the center. I'll intercept your attacks within this 1,000-meter radius. Sing Hui said slowly after easily dodging the attacks of the 50 golden core powerhouses. Intercept. Xiao swaying almost thought that he had misheard. Intercepting and dodging were two completely different things. Just like facing an arrow, dodging it was obviously much easier than shooting it down. However, the ability that Sing Hui had just displayed had already deeply shocked them. Even though they felt that Sing Hui's command was unbelievable, they still slowly entered the main topic after being shocked for a moment. Suddenly, the 50 golden core powerhouses attacked again. Streaks of flowing light whizzed and covered the 1,000-meter radius with Sing Hui as the center. Almost as soon as the attacks of the golden core elders were about to enter the 1,000-meter radius, a violent explosion suddenly sounded. Within this area, Sing Hui seemed to have transformed into thousands of shadows in an instant. He constantly flashed and shuttled through every corner of the 50 golden core powerhouses' attacks. Any attack of the golden core elders that entered this area was either cut down by the sword chi or destroyed from afar. Not a single attack missed. Rumble. The violent explosion kept echoing in the void. When the attacks of the 50 golden core powerhouses stopped, everyone was stunned on the spot. For a moment, they actually did not have time to launch a second wave of attacks. Obviously, they were already stunned by the scene in front of them. It's about time. It's still a little difficult to block the attacks of 50 golden core elders. However, if it's just dodging, it's much easier. I reckon that with my current speed and reaction, forcefully charging into a formation formed by 100 golden core powerhouses is a piece of cake. Sing Hui already had an accurate understanding of his own abilities. Previously, before he had developed his divine ability, he had to be careful when facing a formation formed by a few dozen people. He had to rely on the speed of the sky splitter to circle around the formation continuously. When there was a slight delay in the formation, he would immediately charge into it and charge back and forth, killing and capturing some golden core powerhouses before retreating far away. He did not dare to face them head-on. However, now, destroying a formation of 100 people head-on was no longer an extravagant hope for him. This divine ability has greatly increased my speed, and it's an overall increase. When I use this divine ability, I'll be as fast as lightning and chase after light. Then I'll call it Light Pursuit. After naming it, Sing Hui's face slightly lifted up his head. At this moment, he could be called a true powerful being. He truly had the right to show off in the infinite barren world. Unfortunately, I've yet to come into contact with an invincible existence at the Saint Realm. I'll only be able to determine if I'm a threat to the Saint Realm after I fight one. However, I can be sure that as long as I don't fall into the domain of an invincible expert at the Saint Realm, I'll be able to retreat easily even if such an invincible expert wants to kill me. Sing Hui's heart. All this while, the pressure brought about by the Lihan Holy Man and the Qingwei Holy Man finally dissipated a lot at this moment. Supreme Elder? Xiao Luing looked at Qing Su, who seemed to be in deep thought, and asked for instructions cautiously. Qing Su glanced at Xiao Luing before looking at the dumbfounded golden core elders of the Hidden Sword sect. He said, "All right, that's all. Thank you for your trouble. You may return." Only when the golden core elders heard Qing Su's words did they all return to their senses. They said in a hurry, "It's no trouble at all. It's our honor to be able to serve the great elder." Yes, Supreme Elder, if you need anything in the future, feel free to instruct us. Since Supreme Elder has instructed us, we will naturally obey and do our best to carry it out. We will not disobey. The elders and peak masters were all in awe and respect. Some of them looked at Sing Hui with a trace of fear in their eyes. They were really frightened by the terrifying power that Sing Hui had just displayed. If such a powerful being who could disregard the attacks of 50 Aura's core stage cultivators really wanted to kill them, How could they resist? They had no choice but to die. Very quickly, the group returned to the Hidden Sword sect. When they arrived at the Hidden Sword sect, the Golden Core elders and peak masters quickly spread the news of what had just happened throughout the entire Hidden Sword sect. This news caused the entire Hidden Sword sect to become even more excited and united. At the same time, it also caused the atmosphere within the sect to change once again. All the demons and monsters disappeared without a trace, and the entire Hidden Sword sect welcomed an unprecedented rule of the universe. When the Hidden Swordmaster returns, I should go to the infinite barren lands. In the past, I might not have been able to help much in the battle between Tianxiong and the Heavenly Axiom, but now, Xing Hui thought that as long as he did not meet an invincible divine stage cultivator, he would be able to suppress even a peak avatar of heaven and earth stage cultivator. After all, the strength of an avatar of heaven and earth stage cultivator lay in the multifold increase in attack and defense when they entered the avatar of heaven and earth state. Once Xing Hui used the lightning tactic, relying on the power of the Supreme Light Chaser, he would not give the avatar of heaven and earth stage cultivators any time to enter the avatar of heaven and earth state. They were only slightly stronger divine stage cultivators, and Xing Hui in a light chaser state could take on 10 of them. In fact, even if a peak avatar of heaven and earth stage cultivator could not suppress his light chaser state, he would only know after the battle. Once I reach the divine stage, I will enter the avatar of heaven and earth. The avatar of heaven and earth requires an understanding of the laws of heaven and earth. Only by fully comprehending the laws of heaven and earth can one be supported by the power of the laws of heaven and earth, thereby increasing one's attack power. The laws of heaven and earth. Xing Hui glanced at his character model. His attack level had increased by a large margin, reaching level 119, nearing the level of the avatar of heaven and earth. However, because the attack model did not show the increase in the divine stage, this value was not worth considering. As for his defense level, it had dropped tremendously. Once an attack hit its target, even a golden core stage cultivator would be able to inflict fatal damage on him. The only thing that he was somewhat thankful for was his spiritual level. His spiritual level had actually reached an astonishing level 125, an increase of 6 levels. Xing Hui guessed that this had to do with him severing the fetters of morality and facing the good and evil in his heart. After looking at it for a while, Xing Hui withdrew his gaze from the Chaos Temple. What he needed to do next was to do all he could to unearth all the mysteries of the Supreme Light Chaser. Speed could bring about attacks, but the burden on the body was also extremely great. Xing Hui had already vaguely felt that because his spiritual level was still low, the duration of the Light Chaser state was limited and the burden on his body had not yet shown. However, as his spiritual level continued to increase, the explosive effect of the Light Chaser would become more and more obvious. There would come a day when his body would not be able to bear the explosive effect of a Light Chaser and become a shackle that prevented the further advancement of this divine stage. Thinking of this, Xing Hui had already taken out the body refining technique that he had traded with Shun Chong in the battlefield of the Chaos Temple, the 9 transformations of the real dragon. Although the 9 transformations of the real dragon had the 2 words real dragon in it, it could not be truly cultivated to the level of the real dragon stage, where the physical body could contend against a golden core stage cultivator. The limit of cultivation was only comparable to a never-ending stage cultivator, but even so, it could still be considered terrifying. Xing Hui's gaze swept across the 9 transformations of the real dragon one by one, and he quickly understood the mystery of the first transformation. With a strong physical foundation, Xing Hui had already completed the cultivation of the first transformation of the 9 transformations of the real dragon in just a few breaths. Accompanied by a slight sound from his body, the speed of the qi and blood circulating throughout his body had obviously increased by a notch compared to before. It's true that the strength of my body has already reached the level of the green hell stage, which is the 5th transformation of the 9 transformations of the real dragon. Logically speaking, the cultivation of the first transformation would not have any effect on my body, but in fact, the 9 transformations of the real dragon strengthen the function of the bone marrow to produce blood and the heart to circulate blood through the condensation of blood, causing the speed of my qi and blood to surge faster, and thus slightly increasing the strength of my body. Tsing looked at it for a moment, and his gaze quickly turned to the second transformation of the 9 transformations of the real dragon. In fact, the cultivation system of this world also had the refinement and accumulation of the physical body, which was the 6 stages of the mortal realm: foundation establishment, bone tempering, tendons transformation, marrow cleansing, organs refinement, and blood transformation. However, these 6 stages only dug out the potential of a human to the limit. Usually, it was enough for the cultivator's body to be able to withstand the power of a divine beast soul. There was no need to dig deeper, let alone consume the blood of powerful spiritual beasts, sacred beasts, or even divine beasts to strengthen one's body. However, the cultivation method of the 9 transformations of the real dragon was different. All of his cultivation was based on the person. He did his best to dig out the potential energy in the human body and supplemented it with some treasures of the world to expand the limits of the human body's potential. Especially when it came to the real dragon realm, this stage could allow a person to undergo a complete transformation, forming a leap in the essence of life. Once it was cultivated, the strength of one's battle prowess would surpass that of an ordinary golden elixir stage expert. Unfortunately, Tsing did not have the cultivation method of the real dragon realm in his hands. It's a pity that every time the War of Chaos starts, the battlefield is different, and the cultivation system of the world is even more strange. If I want to go to the world with the cultivation system of the 9 transformations of the real dragon again, it all depends on luck. If I have the chance to go to that world again, I may have the opportunity to obtain the cultivation method of the 9 transformations of the real dragon and break through to the real dragon realm, the holy dragon realm, or even the highest realm, the divine dragon realm. Tsing thought to himself and divided his spirit to take a look at the Chaos Treasure Pavilion. He really wanted to buy a token of the world of battle. On the one hand, when he encountered a life-and-death crisis, he could use the token of the world of battle to drag the enemy into the battlefield of the War of Chaos, and then use his higher level of chaos to reverse the situation and turn defeat into victory. On the other hand, he could use the token of the world of battle to explore other worlds and see if he could obtain the cultivation system of other worlds to improve himself. Unfortunately, the last refresh of the Chaos Treasure Pavilion was not long ago, and there were still no new items. It's not advisable to rely on the Chaos Treasure Pavilion to update the token of the world of battle. Then I'll buy one. The token of the world of battle is not a particularly popular item. If I offer a higher price, it's not difficult to buy one. Moreover, this kind of transaction is good for Tianxiong. I can also consider selling the Chaos Incantation of Holy Master Xianbing to a powerful junior of Tianxiong. Tsing did not sell the Chaos Incantation of Holy Master Xianbing to Tianxiong. On the one hand, he did not want to aggravate the conflict between Tianxiong and the Way of Heaven. On the other hand, he was worried that he would not be able to sell it at a good price. But now, Tianxiong and the Way of Heaven had almost completely fallen out with each other, and it did not matter whether the conflict intensified or not. Anyway, even if he did not sell the Chaos Incantation of Holy Master Xianbing, Holy Master Qingwei would not let him and Tianxiong go. In this case, why not use this Chaos Incantation of level 29 to slightly increase the strength of Tianxiong? Chapter 587, Sky Dome Realm. Tsing Hui's figure flashed, and he directly arrived at the book creation hall where Zhang Zhan was. Due to Venerable Master Zhizhao's heavy injuries, almost all of Heaven's Dome's affairs had fallen on Venerable Master Firmament's shoulders. Qing Su did not want to trouble Venerable Master Firmament for the matter of selling the cultivation method. It just so happened that Venerable Master Zhangzhan was in charge of the affairs of the scripture hall, so he knew the core members of Heaven's Dome quite well. Mr. Pak Hui. Seeing Tsing Hui arrive, Yuling, who was at the entrance of the book creation hall, quickly stood up and greeted him cautiously. After becoming a member of the council, Tsing Hui's status could not be compared to before. She could no longer be as casual as before. Is the Exalted Master here? The Exalted Master is currently in charge of both the Foreign Affairs Hall and the Book Creation Hall. He is currently in the Foreign Affairs Hall, and the one in charge of the Book Creation Hall is his assistant. The Foreign Affairs Hall. Tsing Hui nodded and was about to turn around and leave. However, just as Tsing Hui was about to leave, Yuling seemed to have thought of something. After hesitating for a moment, she asked Tsing Hui, "Sir Pak Hui, is our Sky Dome realm in a very dangerous situation right now?" Situation. Tsing Hui looked at Yuling. He could clearly feel the worry in this woman's heart. Even someone like Yuling, who was always by Zhongjin's side, was worried about the future of Sky Dome. It could be seen what the others were thinking. Don't worry, all dangers will pass. The Vault of Heaven is indeed in a bit of trouble at the moment, but I believe that this kind of trouble will vanish in a short time. The Vault of Heaven has been established for more than 1,000 years. What kind of storms and waves has it not experienced? Since they have been safe and sound for more than 1,000 years, then I believe that even if another 1,000 years, 3,000 years, or even 10,000 years pass, they will still be able to continue to exist. Hearing Tsing Hui's words, Yuling nodded vigorously. I believe in Sir Pak Hui. Don't think too much. Just help Zhongjin, Exalted Master, with the matters of the Book Creation Hall. Tsing Hui said, and took a step forward. In the next moment, he had already disappeared in front of the Book Creation Hall. As the surrounding space shuttled, he was already outside the External Affairs Hall when he reappeared. As the name suggested, the External Affairs Hall was responsible for the external affairs of the firmament continent. The establishment of the Vault of Heaven naturally required many contacts with the outside world, and with contacts, it was easy for conflicts to arise. The External Affairs Hall was responsible for coordinating conflicts with other forces. This palace needed a powerful force to guard it. In the past, esteemed Zhu Zhao was in charge of this palace. Whenever there was a dispute between the Heaven Dome sect and some large sects, esteemed Zhu Zhao only needed to show up, and those large sects naturally had to step aside obediently. Even some top forces didn't dare to confront esteemed Zhu Zhao if they didn't have the absolute right to do so. The name and deterrence of an ultimate master was not something that an ordinary Saint Realm expert could compare with. However, as esteemed Zhu Zhao was seriously injured and went into seclusion to recuperate, the Firmament Exalted Master had to coordinate the overall situation. The affairs of the External Affairs Hall naturally fell to esteemed Zhongjin Exalted Master, who had reached the peak of the Saint Realm. Although esteemed Zhongjin Exalted Master was in charge of the External Affairs Hall, the deterrence of a peak celestial phenomenon expert was far from being comparable to that of esteemed Zhu Zhao. As a result, the firmament continent had encountered all kinds of troubles in a short period of time. This could be seen from the bustling passers-by, coming and going in the External Affairs Hall. The atmosphere in the firmament continent is obviously not peaceful. No wonder Yuling would ask such a worry question. Tsing Hui looked at the many members of the firmament continent who were in a hurry and deeply realized the importance of strength to a large organization. After a moment of silence, Tsing Hui finally stepped into the External Affairs Hall. At this time, outside the External Affairs Hall, there were 3 Golden Core Realm cultivators and 2 Almighties who had cultivated divine powers waiting there. The door of esteemed Zhongjin Exalted Master's office was tightly shut. It was obvious that esteemed Zhongjin Exalted Master was busy with something inside. Tsing Hui did not recognize the 3 Golden Core Realm cultivators, but there were 2 Almighties. One was Bai Qi, the other was esteemed Zhu Zhao, and the other was Yulan, almighty-level disciple who had cultivated divine powers. Seeing Tsing Hui arrive, Bai Qi did not say anything. Yulan raised her tired face and looked at Tsing Hui. In the end, she nodded slightly and greeted him. No matter what, Tsing Hui was someone who had almost become an illuminated disciple and was also her junior brother. She still had to greet him. Thud thud. Ching Su waited outside for less than a while before a series of hurried footsteps rang out from outside. Afterwards, Taoist Wu Fa, who was also a powerful figure, walked in hurriedly with a sliver of anger. When he saw Bai Qi, Yulan, and so on waiting outside, he was slightly surprised at first before immediately saying, "Bai Qi, Yulan, are you busy right now? If you're not, why don't you come with me? The people of the Divine Ghost sect have gone too far." Not only did they take away the clear jade spring that originally belonged to our firmament continent, they even injured my personal disciples. 3 of our Golden Core Realm Outer Circle members were also killed. If we don't teach them a lesson, the world will think that we are afraid of the Divine Ghost sect. The Divine Ghost sect actually took our clear jade spring. Do they want to start an all-out war with us? Bai Qi said with a hint of anger on his face. Still, could it be? Bai Qi suppressed his anger and nodded. The red bamboo forest was also taken by them. The red bamboo forest. The red bamboo core produced in the red bamboo forest is a treasure that can dissolve the impurities in qi. Its value is not much lower than the clear jade spring. The Divine Ghost sect really has guts. Yulan frowned and said, "I remember that the Divine Ghost sect has no connection with the Heavenly Tao. Why did the Heavenly Tao attack our firmament continent, and the Divine Ghost sect also interfere?" The Divine Ghost sect has no connection with the Heavenly Tao, but they are one of the powers that are extremely close to the Divine Wilderness. Half a month ago, the Divine Wilderness Thunder God King came to our firmament continent, wanting to pull us into their Divine Wilderness. In the end, they were rejected by the firmament continent's people. Who would have thought that they would be so despicable, allowing the Divine Ghost sect to attack our firmament continent? Don't you know what the people of the Divine Wilderness are like? They are simply a group of cowards that only know how to fight among themselves. It is said that 10,000 years ago, they once fought against the Heavenly Tao and the Eternal Immortal Emperor while he was down. If not for the Divine Wilderness dragging them down, how could the Immortal Emperor have been defeated so quickly, to the point that he had no choice but to destroy the Divine Wilderness world, destroying the world where the transmission array was located, and even the void, cutting off the Heavenly Tao and the Eternal Immortal Emperor's path of invasion? Wu Fa Jinren sneered. Bai Qi and Yulan did not know much about this matter, so it was not good for them to speak too much. After all, in the battle 10,000 years ago, other than a few existences that barely managed to survive, no one knew the inside story. The survivors said that the Divine Wilderness had kicked the Immortal Emperor while he was down, causing the Immortal Emperor's army to be completely annihilated. The Divine Wilderness people accused the Immortal Emperor of destroying the Divine Wilderness world, and their sins were monstrous. If not for them gathering the remaining experts of the Divine Wilderness world and establishing the Divine Wilderness, the cultivation inheritance of the Divine Wilderness world would have been severed. They were the true inheritors of the Divine Wilderness world. Both sides had their own opinions. But no matter what, compared to those cultivators who relied on the Heavenly Tao and the Eternal for their so-called future, the Divine Wilderness was much better. At least they had a common enemy. It was just that they did not expect that the Divine Wilderness would do such a thing to make their enemies happy. They wanted to use this to force the Heavenly Tao to submit. The people of the Divine Wilderness hope to swallow us, the primal chaos organizations, so as to achieve their goal of controlling the primal chaos temple and dominating the Divine Wilderness world. If they could really bring out their courage to wage war against the Heavenly Tao and the Eternal, I believe that there would be many who would respond. Unfortunately, they do not dare. They are afraid of death. Even when they clearly had the advantage back then, they did not completely defeat the Heavenly Tao and the Eternal, and could only watch as they continue to grow. Now, the Heavenly Tao, relying on a rumor without any evidence, has faintly surpassed the Divine Wilderness and become the largest primal chaos organization in the Divine Wilderness world. There's no use in saying this now. We should discuss how to deal with the matter of the Red Bamboo Forest and Hunyuan. If I'm not wrong, the Divine Ghost sect is probably just a chess piece that the Divine Wilderness is using to test our Heavenly Tao. If our heavenly Tao does not give a strong response, they will definitely take a mile after taking an inch. The problem is that our heavenly Tao does not have enough strength to deal with the encroachment of the divine ghost sect. We can only look at the esteemed master Tsongjun. Let's see if he can reasonably transfer people to let us take back the red bamboo forest and Hunyuan that we have lost. I am currently in a nameless valley 300 kilometers away from Hunyuan. The divine ghost sect has sent 3 almighty beings and over 100 Jinan experts outside. They can find my location at any time. Whether to fight or to retreat, I have to quickly get an accurate response from the esteemed master Tsongjun. Otherwise, if the people of the divine ghost sect find me and surround me, I'm afraid it will be even more dangerous. Wu F. frowned. Then you go first. Although the red bamboo forest has been occupied, the red bamboo heart still needs some time to mature. Furthermore, the divine ghost sect is only probing. They do not dare to truly start a war with us. Bai Qi said. Wu Fa nodded. Then his gaze fell on Tsing Hui. Considering Tsing Hui's battle of chaos sequence, he politely nodded and greeted him. Hak Hui, why are you looking for the esteemed Master Tsongjun? Tsing Hui looked at Wu Fa Zhenren, Bai Qi, and the others. They were all facing big problems, and he did not want to trouble the esteemed Master Tsongjun with the chaos method. Fortunately, Wu Fa Zhenren, Bai Qi, Yulan, and the others were also core members of the Heavenly Tao, and the nature of the conversation was similar. He immediately said, "Not long ago, I killed the Black Ice Saint. Before he died, I interrogated him about his chaos level, which was 29. I want to see if anyone in the Heavenly Tao needs to take over." Tsing Hui's tone was calm, as if he was not talking about a big matter. However, when Wu Fa Zhenren, Bai Qi, Yulan, and the others heard this, they were all shocked. "The Black Ice Saint? You killed the Black Ice Saint? How is that possible? The Black Ice Saint is an almighty? You are only in the true energy realm, and you are in the transformative realm. How could you kill him?" The 3 of them asked almost at the same time. Tsing Hui had cultivated the supreme immortal technique, Shadowless Stance. His aura had become even more obscure, so even though he had broken through to the divine realm, he did not show it in the Chaos Temple at all. In fact, even in the real world, Wu Fa Zhenren and the others could not see Tsing Hui's specific realm if they did not look carefully, let alone in the Chaos Temple. If Tsing Hui had cultivated Shadowless Stance to the small success level, even the invincible giants in the divine realm would not be able to see through him, let alone them. Chapter 588. Reverend Wu Fa, Bai Qi, and Yulan all looked at Qing Su in surprise. Among them, Bai Qi looked at him like he was looking at an immature young man who liked to joke around and did not know how to be serious. After all, as far as they knew, Tsing Hui was less than 40 years old. In the eyes of these cultivators, who were at least 300 years old, he was completely young and childish. It's not impossible to kill Holy Master Xianbing. Moreover, I don't have to lie about this matter. Even Holy Master Xuanbing's chaos technique is in my hands. How can it be fake? Qing Su said calmly. He did not go out of his way to explain. Yulan, Wu Fa Zhenren, Bai Qi, and the others looked at each other. Their faces were full of doubts, but as Tsing Hui said, he didn't have to lie. With Holy Master Xuanbing's chaos technique in his hands, it was enough to prove whether Holy Master Xianbing was alive or dead. "We don't doubt you, but this news is too shocking." After a while, Yulan let out a long breath. In the end, she looked at Tsing Hui and said, "If you trust me, can you let me verify this chaos technique? If you can prove that it's really the 29th level primal chaos technique of Sacred Venerable Black Ice, I can make the decision to find a suitable buyer for you. This buyer's final price for this primal chaos technique will not be lower than 200 Dao runes. Yulan is the disciple of Zhu Zhao Venerable. I naturally trust you." Tsing Hui didn't hesitate. He simulated Holy Master Xuanbing's chaos technique and handed it to Yulan. Chaos technique was the only thing in the Chaos Divine Palace that could be directly traded. After receiving the Chaos Technique given by Tsing Hui, Yulan couldn't wait to try it. Bai Qi and Wu Fa Jinren also stared at Yulan with sparkling eyes. An almighty was an important existence to any force. A sect might have thousands or even tens of thousands of golden core experts, but the number of almighty experts could be counted on one hand. In the entire divine wilderness world, other than the heavenly Tao, eternal, and divine wilderness, no other faction dared to say that they had more than 3 digits of almighty experts. After all, the amount of resources needed to advance from a high-grade golden core to a perfected high-grade golden core was too great. Furthermore, even if one had a perfected high-grade golden core, the probability of condensing a golden core was less than half. With such a shocking probability, even if the rich and overbearing heavenly Tao lost an almighty, it would be enough to cause the heavenly Tao to be in great pain. It would also allow the other forces to adjust their strategies in certain aspects. After a long while, Yulan let out a long breath. Her starry eyes were filled with shock. Seeing Yulan, Wu, Fa Jinren, and Bai Bai, they could guess the result, but they still couldn't believe it. They asked, Yulan, how is it? Yulan met Metz, and Yulan nodded to Yulan's. Wu, Fa Jinren, and Bai Qi couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. At the same time, they turned to Tsing Hui in shock. You actually killed Saint Master Xianbing, the almighty Saint Master Xianbing? Tsing Hui just nodded and didn't say anything. Pak Hui, if you're willing to let me contact a buyer for you, I'll do it now. I don't dare to say more, but I can guarantee you that the price of this primal chaos incantation will definitely not be lower than 200 Dao rhymes. Yulan solemnly promised. Looking at Tsing Hui, her gaze was no longer as careless as before. Thank you. In addition to Dao rhymes, I also need a token of the world of battle. If he doesn't have enough Dao rhymes, he can offset it with the token of the world of battle. I can let him offset it with 120 Dao rhymes. Tsing Hui nodded slightly. Token of the world of battle? Okay, I'll contact him now. After Yulan spoke, her figure flashed, and she disappeared from the Sky Dome realm. Her matter could be delayed as well. Wu Fa Jinren watched Yulan leave, and his gaze paused on Tsing Hui for a moment. He hesitated for a while, and said, Pak Hui, I don't know if you were lucky enough to kill Saint Master Xianbing. Or, do you really have the ability to kill an almighty? It depends on what almighty. If it's not a top almighty, it shouldn't be difficult to kill. Tsing Hui said. The top almighty he mentioned naturally didn't refer to the people who had studied divine powers to the peak like Dharma King, Asu, and Saint Golden Feather, but the terrifying existence like him who had evolved supreme divine powers and could fight across realms. However, Wu Fa Jinren and Bai Qi obviously didn't know this. Hearing that Tsing Hui was confident that he could defeat the enemy's divine powers, their eyes lit up at the same time. Pak Hui, I don't know if you can go to the Clear Jade Spring and help me. Many of the almighty in the Sky Dome realm are guarding those precious resource points. It's not easy to get them out in this troubled period. Even if I ask Zhangjian Shangren for help, he may not be able to send enough experts to help me. Therefore, I can only put my hope on you. The Clear Jade Spring, Tsing Hui thought for a while. Now his cultivation was not weak, and he could slowly repay the various favors he owed to the Sky Dome realm. However, his favors were owed to Zhangjian Shangren, Zhuzhao Shangren, and the Sky Dome Master, not Wu Fa Jinren, who had no friendship with him. He said, I have a talk to Zhangjian Shangren first. If Zhangjian Shangren thinks that I should go to the Clear Jade Spring with you, I will follow his orders. Of course. When Zhangjian Shangren is done, we will go to see him. Although Tsing Hui didn't promise immediately, Wu Fa Jinren was still quite confident that he could persuade him to go to the Clear Jade Spring. Pak Hui. While Tsing Hui and Wu Fa Jinren were waiting, Yulan's figure had appeared again. I have discussed with my friend. He is willing to buy your chaos secret art for a rid of the world of battle and 100 Dao rhymes. However, he is currently in some trouble and can't send his avatar to trade with you. Do you want to wait for a while, or go by yourself? If you go by yourself, He is willing to add 10 Dao rhymes to the journey. I will go by myself, Sing Hui said. 10 Dao rhymes were still Dao rhymes, and he really lacked Dao rhymes now. Well, I will contact him and ask him to provide the coordinates, Yulan said. At this time, the door of the External Affairs Hall of Zhongjin Shangren opened, and an old man in the Gold Core realm with a somewhat gloomy expression walked out. After seeing the people waiting outside, he only bowed slightly to Yulan, Bai Qi, Wu Fa Jinren, and other powerful figures, then turned and left. Obviously, his request to Zhongjin Shangren was not agreed. The two of us will go in first. Wu Fa Jinren on the side was afraid that Sing Hui would send his avatar to trade with the powerful figure and fall into a weak state. So he hurriedly said first. Then, without giving Yulan a chance to stop him, he pulled Sing Hui into the inner hall. In the palace, Zhongjin Shangren was flipping through the information at this time, and in front of him there were many messages submitted from various places in the territory under the jurisdiction of Tianxiong. The ones that could be directly submitted to him were all in the Gold Core realm or were related to important matters of this level. The matters below the Gold Core realm did not need Zhongjin Shangren, a peak powerful figure, to deal with personally. Wu Fa and Pak Hui. Zhongjin Shangren heard the footsteps and looked at Sing Hui and Wu Fa Jinren. At the same time, he put down the information in his hands. What you two want? Wu Fa, are you at Clear Yuchuan? Is there a problem with Clear Yuchuan? Yes. The Divine Ghost sect sent 3 almighty experts to occupy the Clear Jade Spring. I had no choice but to retreat with my men. But even so, many of our people were still captured by the Divine Ghost sect. I came here to ask Master to transfer some people to me. It would be best if you could send 2 almighty experts to help us take back the Clear Jade Spring and save our Heaven Dome sect disciples who were captured by them. 2 powerful figures. Zhongjin Shangren frowned. Master Zhongjin furrowed his brows. You should understand that the Divine Ghost sect is still mainly probing, but on Blazing Mountain there are real battles and small battles. The people of the Heavenly Tao in that direction will not give us a way out. Once we lose, it will be very difficult for anyone to survive. Therefore, that battlefield and the battlefield of Little Sun Mountain are the most important. I understand. Wu Fa Jinren turned his gaze to Sing Hui. Sending 2 powerful figures may be a little difficult, but if you can send one of them and let Her Excellency Pak Hui assist me, I will be able to take back Clear Yuchuan. Pak Hui. Zhongjin's gaze immediately fell on Pak Hui. At the same time, he looked sternly at Wu Fa Jinren. Why do you want Pak Hui to go and help you guard Clear Yuchuan? What do you know? Wu Fa Jinren saw Zhongjin's expression suddenly become so stern and couldn't help but be slightly startled. Master, did you get some information? Zhongjin asked sternly. Sing Hui naturally understood Zhongjin's meaning. The main reason for his stern words was because he guessed that Wu Fa Jinren knew about his chaotic level. He immediately explained, it's just that I killed the powerful figure Xianbing Saint and told Wu Fa Jinren that I broke through to the transcendent realm and derived a transcendent ability. Only the top transcendent realm experts can defeat me. Therefore, Wu Fa Jinren wanted to take advantage of the fact that I have not been assigned a task to bring me to Clear Yuchuan in advance to guard it. It's not what you think. Zhongjin was slightly startled when he heard Sing Hui's words. Then, he said with some surprise, you killed Xianbing Saint? Xianbing Saint is the son of Tiandao Qingwei Tao. He is a powerful figure worthy of his name. Even if he was lucky to become a powerful figure and his foundation is shallow, he is definitely not you. Speaking of this, he suddenly realized the second half of Sing Hui's words. He was stunned at first, then immediately stood up and stared at Sing Hui in shock. Pak Hui boy, what did you just say? You said that you broke through to the transcendent realm and derived a transcendent ability. You really derived a transcendent ability? Wu Fa Jinren was also startled. He didn't show as much shock and disbelief as Zhongjin. He just asked curiously, didn't His Excellency Pak Hui say that he had just reached the true energy realm a few years ago? Could it be a miscommunication? In fact, don't interrupt. Before Wu Fa Jinren could finish, he was interrupted by Song Jun with a wave of his hand. He stared at Sing Hui without blinking. I seem to have heard wrongly just now. Say it again. You said that you broke through to the transcendent realm and derived a transcendent ability? Sing Hui understood that his achievement in such a short period of time was indeed enough to shock people. However, he now had the confidence to even fight against a divine being. He didn't have to hide like before. He nodded slightly and said, "Yes, Master. I broke through to the transcendent realm and derived a transcendent ability." Chapter 589. You've really derived a divine power? You've been on the path of cultivation for 40 years? Sing Hui looked at Master Cangjin in front of him and understood the shock he would bring if he revealed this news, but he could only say, "Master, if you need my help with anything, just let me know. Before I grew up, I received all kinds of help from you. Now that I have some ability, I should lend Tianxiong a helping hand when he is in danger." Master Cangjin, sat down and motioned for Sing Hui to pause. Let me take a break. After a while, he let out a heavy breath and then turned his gaze to Jinren Wufa. Let me talk to Pak Hui alone. For the time being, don't spread the news of him breaking through to the divine power realm. Jinren Wufa naturally understood the impact of having an additional trump card of the divine power realm. After all, many top forces more or less knew how many divine power realm experts they had. In a situation where those divine power realm experts kept each other in check, a completely free divine power realm expert could often play an amazing role. He immediately said, "I understand. I will not mention this to anyone. Even by Qi and Yulan, I will ask them to keep it a secret as much as possible." "Well, I will keep the matter of your Qing Yuchuan in mind. If there is a suitable person, I will immediately send him to you." "Thank you, Master." Jinren Wufan nodded and retreated. Pak Hui, although Xianbing is not weak, he has many divine weapons given to him by Qing Wei Holy Woman to protect himself. If you want to kill him, it will not be an easy task. Moreover, you claim that you can't defeat anyone other than the top forces. What kind of divine power did you derive? Master Cangjin said seriously. Sing Hui was silent for a moment. He could not give a final judgment as to what level the divine power of chasing light belonged to. He estimated that it was a supreme divine power, but before he really saw a supreme divine power, he could not give an accurate answer. He just said, "It's not an ordinary divine power. This is no ordinary divine ability." Hiss. The Zhongshan monk sucked in a deep breath and shot a glance at Qing Su. "I already knew that you were extraordinary, kid. You would definitely achieve great things in the future. I even considered taking you as my disciple in the past, but I found it very difficult to accept the fact that my previous disciples were useless, so I never formally asked you to take me as your disciple. As a result, I ended up ruining the relationship between you and Zhu Zhao. I've always felt that it was a pity, afraid that you would waste your time without a master to guide you. However, I never thought that in just a dozen years, you would actually surpass the great feat that ordinary people could not accomplish in a few decades, or even a few centuries, deriving abilities and reaching the godhood in a single breath." Sing Hui looked at Master Zhongshan. He had more or less felt that Master Zhongshan wanted to take him as his disciple, but in the end, fate made a fool of him. When Master Zhongshan and Master Zhu Zhao were still humbling each other about who should be his master, he had already condensed a divine power and stepped into the realm of powerful forces. Moreover, with the mystery of the divine power of chasing light, it was unknown whether Master Zhongshan, who was at the peak of the powerful forces, could still suppress him. If Zhu Zhao was not seriously injured, I would really take you to him and ask him if he regretted missing such a talented disciple like you." Master Zhongshan exalted said with some indignation. "Both of you have given me a lot of advice on my cultivation path. In my mind, both of you can be called teachers. Why should I care about such a trivial title?" Hearing Sing Hui's words, Master Zhongshan exalted stared at Sing Hui for a moment and finally nodded. "You are right. We are too pretentious. Moreover, we two old men think too highly of ourselves. You have used your own talent to prove to all of us that even without us, you can still break through a path that is far beyond our imagination. Moreover, with the divine power you have derived in the end, I believe that your future achievements will definitely be above mine. As for Master Zhu Zhao, he could not guarantee it. Master, if there is anything in Tianxiong that I can do for you, please let me know. As a member of Tianxiong, I am willing to contribute my own strength to Tianxiong. Xinghui went straight to the point. Master Zhongzhen exalted nodded. After a moment, he seemed to have thought of something. His eyes focused, and he quickly fell into deep thought. Xinghui looked at him from the side and did not want to disturb him. After a while, Master Zhongzhen exalted glanced at Xinghui and said seriously, "Come with me." The next moment, the environment around him began to change rapidly. As the space shuttled and the light flowed, when the scene around him became clear again, he had already appeared outside the courtyard of Master Zhongzhen Exalted. At this time, Master Zhongzhen Exalted was in front of a huge expectation, thinking hard. When he saw Tsing Hui and Master Zhongzhen Exalted, he turned his eyes to the two of them. Zhongzhen? Pak Hui? Master Zhongzhen Exalted looked at the chessboard in front of Master Zhongzhen Exalted and could not help but sigh. It has been more than 10 years, but the mechanism on the chessboard still can't be solved. It seems that it really can't be solved. At present, we are in a crisis. Speaking of this, Master Zhongzhen Exalted glanced at Tsing Hui, as if he no longer regarded Tsing Hui as an outsider. He continued, "In this case, it's very difficult for us to turn the tables under the suppression of the way of heaven. Even with the help of Jianing, we can't avoid the crisis of destruction. At present, I can't think of any solution, so I can only pin my hope on that cave mansion. You, Zhu Zhao, and Yuan Ri have been trying to deduce this chessboard for so many years, but you haven't succeeded. It can be seen that this mechanism is not something we can open with our strength. We have cleaned up all the mechanisms outside the cave mansion, and there is only one step left. We failed at the last step. How unwilling we are to admit defeat. If we can really open this cave mansion, with the great reputation of this great existence in the divine wilderness era, the many treasures produced in it will definitely make our heaven vault force improve greatly. The many treasures in this cave mansion may make our heaven vault force soar, but it may also make us gain nothing. This is the mentality of a gambler." Master Zhongzhen Exalted sighed. The fact that Master Zhongzhen Exalted Master, an invincible giant in the divine realm, pinned his hopes on such a slim hope showed how dangerous the situation was for the heaven vault force. Man can conquer nature. At present, the way of heaven does not intend to use the war of chaos to deal with us. In addition, in the recent battle, Lian Holy Man has not returned. Qingwei Holy Man was seriously injured, and Anis Ruckus Holy Man's Daluo Star Disk was also damaged and difficult to repair in short time. We have already gained a lot of time. During this time, there may be a new turning point. Time. Master Zhongzhen Exalted Master shook his head. The reason why the way of heaven is willing to be dormant is not because we have destroyed 2 Dao Masters, but because they are waiting. The first Dao Master of the way of heaven, the Chaos Dao Master, who is said to be immortal. Once the Chaos Dao Master can break through to the 3rd divine realm, his only drawback will be completely fixed. At that time, no one in the world can stop him. Even the Divine Master Ancient Wilderness and the Eternal Emperor Tai, he will be no exception. Divine Master Ancient Wilderness, Emperor Tai. Xing Hui was very familiar with these two existences. There were a total of 10 Supreme Masters in the Divine Wilderness. Almost all of these 10 Supreme Masters had the terrifying strength to kill a Divine Realm expert without giving him a chance to escape. Among these 10 people, Divine Master Ancient Wilderness was ranked 1st, Emperor Tai, he was 2nd, and the Chaos Dao Master was 3rd. As for the 4th, it was Zhu Zhao, Master Zhu Zhao. This could be seen from the fact that the 5 Dao Masters of the Way of the Heavens had to set up a trap before they dared to attack esteemed Zhu Zhao. If they really fought head-on, even if the 5 Dao Masters had Anusrava Dao Master, who held the 17th level treasure Daluo star disc, and whose cultivation was infinitely close to the 2nd level of the divine realm, it would still be difficult to avoid heavy losses. This was the deterrent power of esteemed Zhu Zhao. Due to the most obvious drawback of the Chaos Dao Master, his lack of killing means, Master Zhu Zhao even dared to kill his way into the way of heaven. As long as he did not go too deep and was careful not to fall into formations or traps, he could escape unscathed. This was also the reason why Master Zhu Zhao claimed that the way of heaven did not dare to easily bear his anger. Can Master Zhu Zhao really take that step? For us, the most difficult part of the first 3 levels of the Saint Realm isn't the 2nd or 3rd level, but the 1st level, the Domain Realm. The Domain Realm consists of the Domain Origin and the Domain Core. This requires the accumulation of precious treasures. Only when one's domain reaches the peak of the Domain Realm will they be able to touch upon the laws and step into the 2nd level of the Saint Realm, the insightful Void Realm. The 3rd level of the Saint Realm requires the understanding and application of the laws. Similarly, it doesn't require much resources. Due to the destruction of the Divine Wilderness, if we want to obtain resources for the Domain Realm, we can only rely on the Primal Chaos Treasure Pavilion or the Primordial Cave Abode. This is why so many people are stuck at the Domain Realm. The Firmament Master continued with a solemn expression. 40 years ago, an invincible existence at the peak of the divine stage who could create a world with a single thought came into being. The Divine Wilderness, the Eternal Sect, and the Heavenly Tao Sect were the ones who benefited the most from it. Because of this, Divine Wilderness Sect, Eternal Sect, and Heavenly Tao Sect all stepped into the insightful Void Realm. Now, 40 years have passed. God knows how powerful they have become. I think this is the reason why they had the courage to clear the area. Master Cangzhen's heart was heavy. The difference in cultivation between each level of the Saint Realm might not be as great as the difference between the Golden Core Realm and the Divinity Realm, but it was not much smaller. It was not an exaggeration to say that the 3rd level of the Saint Realm could suppress hundreds of experts at the 1st level of the Saint Realm, even if the Divine Art could slightly reduce the gap between the levels. Master Zhu Zhao, Emperor Tai, and Divine Elder Ancient Desolation, which one of them had not maxed out the Divine Art. Although Master Zhu Zhao had the highest chance of breaking through, no matter who broke through first, the world would be swept away. When that time came, the Divine Wilderness would no longer have peace. Chapter 590. Zhangzhen Master looked at Firmament Master. He more or less understood why Firmament Master was so anxious to solve the chessboard mechanism. The owner of the cave behind the chessboard mechanism was also a supreme overlord who stood at the peak of the Divine Realm. If Firmament Master could really open the cave of this expert at the peak of the Divine Realm, with so many resources, Firmament Master and Firmament Master would definitely soar to the sky. We don't have much time left. Firmament Master let out a long sigh. Not necessarily. Zhangzhen Master said slowly after a moment of silence. Firmament Master's eyes fell on Zhangzhen Master. Zhangzhen Master did not waste any time and directly pushed Xing Hui to Firmament Master. I came here mainly for Pak Hui. If Firmament Master has a chance to turn the situation around, besides Zhu Zhao, I'm afraid it's Pak Hui. Pak Hui? Firmament Master was a little confused. Pak Hui derived a divine power and stepped into the divine realm. Moreover, it's not an ordinary divine power, but a great divine power. Pak Hui derived a divine power? Firmament Master was shocked by Zhangzhen Master's words. He immediately looked at Xing Hui and said, How? How is this possible? If the information I collected is correct, he has cultivated for less than 40 years, right? Yes, less than 40 years. To be exact, 32 years. He's only 32 years old this year. Zhangzhen Shangren sighed with emotion. In 32 years, he has cultivated from a mortal to a powerful figure, and what he has cultivated is not an ordinary supernatural power. You should know better than me what this means, Song Qiao. With such talent, if we give him another 10 or 20 years, how much do you think he can grow to? Celestial body? Realm? Insightful void? Or crushing vacuum? Firmament Master's eyes lit up when he heard Zhongjin Master's words. However, after a while, his face darkened. 10 years. 20 years. Do we have another 10 or 20 years? Why not? Song Qiong, I think you are confused. What is the biggest difference between us chaos and those cultivation sects? This is our secret nature. We don't have any foundations or legacies. All we need to do is to take away the many branches in the real world. No matter how powerful the heavenly axiom is, it will take a lot of time and effort to find us. Perhaps we will lose a lot of resource points by doing so. However, as long as we can break through to the lawful embodiment of heaven and earth, the domain realm, the insightful emptiness realm, or even the void-shattering realm in the next 10 to 20 years, we will be able to take back everything we have lost and confront the heavenly axiom, the divine wilderness, and the eternity head-on. Saying this, Zhongjin Exalted's eyes flashed. He doesn't even need to reach the vacuum-shattering realm. As long as Hui can reach the vacuum-shattering realm, he will be able to fight a vacuum-shattering realm master head-on, just like Zhu Zhao Exalted. When Tsing Hui heard Master Zhongjin mention Master Zhu Zhao, he suddenly reacted. The reason why people were so afraid of Zhu Zhao was because he had derived a great divine ability. Hui, Master Zhongjin was a little hesitant. After all, even though the foundation of the Sky Dome realm was concentrated in the Sky Dome realm, the Sky Dome realm had also developed a considerable faction in the real world. Perhaps the strength of the Sky Dome realm could not be compared to the one hall, 3 sects, 6 schools, and 9 gates, but it was still an existence that was second only to these peak factions. He couldn't bear it. Songjun, why are you still hesitating? If we can temporarily retreat from Tianwang region, not only can we be at ease to look for the various treasures to cure Zhu Zhao, you can also calm down to deduce the chessboard mechanism. This is the best way to advance by retreating. Otherwise, sooner or later, the strength of Tianxiong will be exhausted by the way of the heavens and those forces that have their eyes on us until we have no power to fight back. Hearing Master Zhongjun's words, Master Zhongjun was silent for a long time before he turned his gaze back to Tsing Hui. Hui, if we pour all the resources of Tianxiong into you, are you confident that you can break through to the vacuum-shattering realm within 20 years? No. Even if you can't break through to the vacuum-shattering realm, you can break through to the profound void realm. The profound void realm is a special state that allows you to escape into the void and turn into nothingness. You won't be afraid of any killing methods. Only when you can break through to the vacuum-shattering realm can you hurt the profound void realm experts. Only when you reach this realm can you be said to be in an invincible position. Tsing Hui thought for a while and finally said, I don't know much about the law phenomenon domain and profound void realm. I also don't know what resources Tianxiong has. Therefore, I can't answer this question. After that, he added, I came to find Master Zhongjin this time because I want to know more about this realm in detail. Please enlighten me. Although he had the world-burning incantation, he had already embarked on a different path after switching to the extreme sword principle. He didn't know whether the direction he should go next was to cultivate the law phenomenon, condense the domain, or other aspects. He could only rely on his understanding of the next realm and brainstorm to deduce the next cultivation method of the extreme sword principle. The law phenomenon, the domain realm, the profound void realm, Heavenly Master slightly adjusted his train of thought. I can give you an answer about the changes of these realms. First of all, law being of heaven and earth requires you to constantly study your own divine sense. When your divine sense resonates with the law of heaven and earth and is blessed by the power of heaven and earth, you will naturally enter the law being of heaven and earth. This kind of study doesn't care about the number of divine senses, but the degree of compatibility between the divine sense and the law of heaven and earth. Different divine senses conform to different laws of heaven and earth. The law phenomenon is actually a kind of amplification of divine senses. Master Tsang, who was standing at the side, added, "Like my divine ability, I call it the Ksitigarbha technique. This divine ability is divided into two forms. One is my own form, and the other is my attack form. However, both forms allow me to control the power of the earth. I can use the power of the earth to increase the gravity around me by 200 times or even 100 times. At the same time, the minor divine ability that I developed allows me to use the power of the earth veins to teleport quickly. After this divine ability is evolved into the law embodiment of heaven and earth, the power of the divine ability will increase dramatically. Originally, the gravity around me will only increase by 200 times, but under the law embodiment of heaven and earth, I can increase it by 1,000 times or even more. More than 1,000 times? That's right. Under the maximum pressure of 1,000 times, the true origin energy and divine sense of an almighty might be able to break through the suppression of gravity. However, their bodies and internal organs will definitely not be able to withstand it. Therefore, in a group battle, once I enter the law phenomenon realm, I can usually defeat dozens of almighties within my attack range. If it is an ordinary golden core realm cultivator within the range of gravity with me as the center, he will definitely die. When Master Tsang said this, there was a trace of regret in his eyes. It's a pity that the higher the gravity, the worse my control over it. Under the pressure of 1,000 times the gravity, I can no longer distinguish between friend and foe. Otherwise, if my divine sense cooperates with other people's divine sense, the lethality of the damage will definitely increase exponentially. My divine sense is a little different from Zhongjin Exalted. I awakened the Kuan Peng bloodline and condensed a divine grade fighting body. The divine sense I awakened was the Void Seal. However, later on, I supplemented my main divine sense by studying small divine senses and formed an attack that simulated the collapse of the void. I named it the Grand Collapsing Art. I used the divine sense to form a space to trap the enemy and then let the space collapse. As I studied this power to the peak, I actually sensed the Dharma of the void. After entering the law embodiment of heaven and earth state with this Dharma of the void, I can draw on the turbulence of the void after the grand collapsing art collapses the space, making the power soar. As for the next step, it is the realm. The materialization of the law phenomenon realm. That's right. In fact, the law phenomenon realm is supported by the power of the laws of heaven and earth. The realm relies on your understanding of the laws of heaven and earth. Then, you use your own will and the innate charm of some divine beast to refine the origin of the realm and materialize it. It's a bit similar to the materialization of the battle physique from the blue netherworld realm to the vision saint realm. The only difference is that it's much harder to materialize the laws of heaven and earth than to materialize the battle physique. According to what you said, the law phenomenon realm should be more powerful than the realm, right? Why is the grand dominion realm ranked after the lawful embodiment of heaven and earth realm? Master Tsang and Master Tsang exchanged a look and finally said, "In fact, this has to do with the origin of our cultivation system. Our cultivation system originated from the divine beasts and the divine beasts. That's how the divine beasts and the divine beasts are categorized. Moreover, do you really think that the law phenomenon realm is more powerful than the realm? You're completely wrong. The power of the law phenomenon realm is supported by heaven and earth, but the power of the realm is simulated and materialized by one's own strength. One is borrowed, and the other is one's own. How can they be compared? In fact, in the realm, it's very difficult or even impossible for almighties to enter the law phenomenon realm. This is why the realm can easily defeat the law phenomenon realm. In the realm, the law phenomenon realm can't enter the law phenomenon realm." Xinghui frowned. the cultivation system that simulated the growth of the divine beasts, and the divine beast was indeed prone to all kinds of problems and drawbacks. It was the same for the golden core realm and the divinity realm, and it was the same for the law phenomenon realm and the realm. Perhaps this cultivation system might not be as perfect as he imagined. Then, could he come up with a way to skip the law phenomenon realm and enter the realm? The characteristic of the realm was to rely on one's own comprehension of the laws, one's will, and the innate charm of the divine beast to refine the origin of the realm and materialize it to affect the surrounding space and the world. The comprehension of the laws is like a key. The will is the strength of one's mind, and the innate charm is the strength of one's true chi. When the three are combined, one can cultivate the origin of the realm. If I want to skip the law phenomenon realm, I'll have to skip the condensation of my soul and study the laws. Then, I can only work on the innate charm. It's impossible for a green netherworld realm expert to be a match for a prominent saint realm expert. However, if the green netherworld realm expert has enough true chi and its quality is high enough, it wouldn't be difficult for him to crush a prominent saint realm expert. Just like a never-ending realm expert, even if he doesn't rely on the strength of his battle physique, he can still crush the battle physique of a prominent saint realm expert with his endless true chi. Innate charm. Only those divine beasts and divine beasts in the saint realm had it. In other words, if he wanted to reach this step, he had to have the strength to kill divine beasts and divine beasts. I need to comprehend sword force. Thank you for the tip from the immortal slaying sword master, Jilio Wang. Chapter 591. Spiritual will was, in fact, momentum. When one's spiritual will was strong enough to condense momentum, one could combine the laws and the innate charm into one and condense the origin of the domain. Xing Hui set his next cultivation goal as sword momentum. Even if the cultivation method he discovered could not be realized in the end, he could just turn back and cultivate the laws again. In the end, it would not be too serious. After the domain is the profound void realm. However, the cultivation of the domain involves the origin of the domain. The reason why only creatures related to space, such as chaos and Kuan Peng, are chosen to form the origin of the domain is mainly because of the cultivation of the profound void realm. For cultivators with the bloodline of the Golden Crow, they may not be able to use the innate charm of chaos and Kuan Peng to form the origin of the domain. However, in this way, the difficulty of entering the profound void realm will be much higher. After all, it is most convenient to comprehend the laws with the law of space. Even divinity, ancient wildness of the divine wilderness, and Emperor Tai of the eternal have embarked on the path of using the innate charm of chaos as the origin of the domain. Once a cultivator enters the profound void realm, he can integrate himself with the law and be in a state between an illusory life and a real life. Therefore, he will be invincible. The Firmament Master continued, "The reason why there are so many people who have awakened the bloodline of the Kuan Peng is because of this consideration. As for cultivators with the bloodline of the Golden Crow, it is because it is more convenient to cultivate in the early stage. After all, the grandson is always hanging high in the sky. Cultivators can use the power of the grandson to cultivate in any environment." Xing Hui nodded. "Master, my sword intent has been perfected. If I want to push it to the level of sword momentum, I don't know how to do it." Perfected sword intent? The Firmament Master stared at Xing Hui for a moment in astonishment. However, when he thought that Xing Hui was able to derive a divine sense after more than 30 years of cultivation, he gradually returned to normal. "I'm not a real cultivator of sword intent, so I don't know much about the transformation of sword intent to sword momentum. However, I have my own understanding of momentum. Intent can be understood as one's own will, and momentum can be understood as the will of a group. Just like what we often say about gathering the momentum of people, in fact, it is the will of the individual leading the group. Sword intent is limited to individuals, but sword momentum is bound to appear in a group. Group? Indeed, it's just like my force. My force is related to the blood of the Kuan Peng that I've awakened. The Kuan Peng is a legendary creature. It's tens of millions of miles long. Based on that, I've transformed my force into an empty space, and then I've integrated it into my domain. If I just use my force, you will feel that the entire world is oppressing you. That kind of force isn't limited to one or two people, it's the entire world. You're alone. How can you resist it? Master Tsongjun, who was at the side, also said, "The force of the firmament is the void, while my force is born from the earth. My force is heavy and suffocating. Besides, the force of the first sun is like the sun, vast and blazing, shining in all directions. The force of the candlelight is mysterious and noble, subduing the enemy without fighting. You won't be able to understand the existence of potential if I just describe it with words. Come to Tianwang region when you have time. I will summon Yuan Ri and let you feel the changes of potential." "All right, I'll go to Heaven Wasteland," Xinghui said. Along with seeing his own nature clearly and breaking through the shackles of morality, his soul had already undergone a leap. Not only had the level of his spirit obtained a great improvement, even the perfection level of his sword intent had risen along with it. Thus, comprehending sword force was the best method for him to increase his strength. Well, we'll also make preparations here. After we've dealt with the matters here in 3 to 5 days, we'll help you feel the changes of potential, Master Tsongjun said. Master Tsongjun opened his mouth and was about to say something, but Master Tsongjun secretly shook his head at him. A moment later, Xinghui left. After he left, Master Tsongjun asked in confusion, "Master Tsongjun, why did you stop me just now? What did you say? That we're willing to use all our resources on him, including the limitless Tao fruit?" "That's right. I believe that with Pak Hui's talent, if he swallows the infinite Tao fruit, he will definitely be able to understand the laws and step into the lawful embodiment of heaven and earth realm. When he reaches the lawful embodiment of heaven and earth realm, the power of his great divine ability will be unimaginably powerful. At that time, with you facing the opponent's domain power head-on, his battle strength will not be inferior to an invincible divine realm giant. I also believe that, but Master Tsongjun looked at Xinghui's departing figure. The infinite Tao fruit is the most precious resource in Tianwang region. If we really give it to him so easily, what will he think? And what will the others in Tianhuang region think? The others in Tianwang region. Master Tsongjun frowned. The existence of the infinite Tao fruit was not known to the few of them. Many masters and core members knew about the existence of the infinite Tao fruit. For example, Master Three Wonders of the Six Sacred Sect had joined Tianwang region because he was indebted to Master Tsongjun, but also because of the infinite Tao fruit. If he had the infinite Tao fruit, he would certainly be able to completely understand the laws that he was compatible with. At that time, he only needed to prepare enough innate charm to condense the domain origin in one go and step into the divine realm. The Tao fruit of infinity is different from other things. White ruins. He needs to make some contributions before I can bestow the fruit upon him and shut the mouths of others. Otherwise, given the current state of the Celestial Vault, the hearts of the people in the Celestial Vault would truly fall apart if we, the rulers of the Celestial Vault, continue to act willfully. When that happens, even if the Celestial Vault could rely on white ruins to regain a foothold in the Celestial Barrens, who knows if it would still be the same Celestial Vault as before. Master Tsongjun fell silent when he heard Master Tsongjun's words. One should not meddle in politics if one was not in position. As the true leader of Tianhuang region, Master Tsongjun had to consider more comprehensively than him. I understand. When he comes to Tianhuang region, I will assign him some tasks according to his true strength and let him make contributions. I will have to trouble you with this matter. Master Tsongjun's gaze fell on the chessboard in front of him. This chessboard focuses on deduction, and in terms of deduction, The most proficient person in this Tao in the entire divine wilderness is the leakless Tao master, followed by the divine prophet and the head of the pavilion of heavenly secrets. Why don't we just ask the divine prophet and the head of the pavilion of heavenly secrets to help? No matter what, the two of them are still part of our divine wilderness world, even if they don't agree with our ideals. Divine wilderness? Humph. I have never forgotten why my Tsang family's ancestor died. I will work with anyone, but not with the divine wilderness. Master Tsang saw that Master Tsang's attitude was firm, and in the end, he could not say anything. Everyone has their own unique point of view and stand on everything. Just like the chaos organization Divine Wilderness, it was difficult to survive under the oppression of the Immortal Emperor. If they did not join forces with the Heavenly Way and the Immortal Emperor, when the Immortal Emperor defeated the Heavenly Way and the Immortal Emperor, what awaited them was inevitably the fate of annexation. In the end, although they caused the collapse of the Immortal Emperor, after the final battle that shattered the Divine Wilderness, no one in the Divine Wilderness retreated to resist the further destruction of the Heavenly Way and the Immortal Emperor. Some people saw him as a savior and tried to curry favor with him. Some people saw him as the biggest traitor of the Divine Wilderness world and hated him to the core. The right and wrong in this matter was not something that they could explain clearly at the moment. After leaving the mountain where Master Tsang was located, Xing Hui did not immediately explain the matter of the Hidden Sword sect. Instead, he found Yulan and obtained the spiritual imprint of the traitor from her. After obtaining the spiritual imprint, Xing Hui, who wanted to obtain the token of the world of battle and the 110-year-old Tao item as soon as possible, did not waste any time. He directly sensed the location of the traitor, the Flying Fish Sword Saint, and then used the incarnation technique. As the incarnation technique was used, Xing Hui immediately felt a resonating spiritual fluctuation tens of millions of kilometers away. Then his consciousness shuttled, crossing thousands of mountains and rivers in an instant, and directly descended into the void where the traitor, the Flying Fish Sword Saint, was. However, what surprised him was that the Flying Fish Sword Saint was currently fleeing. He was being chased by two almighties who had also derived divine powers. Before Xing Hui could completely condense the incarnation, the Flying Fish Sword Saint had already flown away on his sword and directly disappeared. How do I trade? Xing Hui looked at the Flying Fish Sword Saint disappearing into the horizon and felt somewhat helpless. He had no choice but to contact Yulan in the Chaos Temple. With the change of the surrounding space, he suddenly appeared in Yulan's courtyard. At this time, Yulan was discussing something with a somewhat familiar person. Seeing Xing Hui's arrival, she first nodded to him and motioned for him to wait for a moment, and then turned to the man in front of her and said, "Then it's settled. When will you deliver the 100 giant magnetic arrows?" "Give me 10 days. I'll definitely deliver it within 10 days. Ha! My magnetic giant arrows are terrifying killing weapons that can even kill almighties. Don't worry. Once you're equipped with these magnetic giant arrows, you'll definitely fall in love with them. You have to be able to shoot people first." Yulan said somewhat helplessly, "When you improve the propulsion system of these giant magnetic arrows, we will talk about it. Don't worry." Speaking of this, the man said regretfully, "Unfortunately, I don't have enough Taoist rhyme recently, so I can no longer purchase the token of the world of battle and launch the war of chaos to go to that world. Otherwise, I really want to learn the propulsion system of that world. With the propulsion system, this alchemy weapon of mine will definitely become the most powerful existence in the entire divine wilderness. Even the Scarlet Sun Demon God, who has been the talk of the town during this period of time, cannot be compared to it. The battlefield of the War of Chaos is too random. The possibility of going to the same world at the same time is too low. Even if it is a world with the same background, the probability is less than 1 in 10. Yulan said regretfully. Xing Hui, who was curious about the cultivation method of the late stage of the 9 transformations of the real dragon, heard this and did not care about being rude. He interrupted and asked, Senior Sister Yulan, according to what you said, is it really possible to go to the same world of the War of Chaos? Alliance Master, please update. In addition, tomorrow's outbreak, I will present 5 chapters. Chapter 592. Yulan and the somewhat familiar-looking man shifted their gazes towards Qing Su at the same time when they heard Qing Su's words. Of course. Before Yulan could reply, the man had already replied with certainty. Although it is impossible for the battlefield scene to be the same, the general background is quite consistent. Otherwise, in addition to the mainstream system in our world, how could there be other systems similar to alchemy, array formation, and so on? These systems were all learned from other worlds through the scenes of the War of Chaos. Bai Su, let me introduce you. This is the most famous master alchemist in our Sky Dome, Sir Jean Lien. Sir Jean Lien has devoted his entire life to alchemy, and he has advocated for modifying the current alchemy system in Sky Dome many times. Most famously, he once relied on a modified golden core realm alchemy puppet to defeat a battle formation formed by 20 golden core realm experts. In addition, he recently invented the giant magnetite arrow, which is one of the most impressive strategic resources in Sky Dome. It's so powerful that it can threaten even the pinnacle of alchemy. Jean Lien. When Xing Hui heard this, he finally understood why he felt that he was somewhat familiar. Back then, he had seen this person in the book Creation Hall. In addition to the giant magnetic arrow, I have also recently modified the giant profound heavy arrow. This kind of arrow can form a special domain force field, which may not be able to bind those experts who have stepped into the transcendent realm and can erupt with all their strength, but the main point is that it has a large range. This kind of force field can reach up to 1,000 kilometers, which means that once the force field is formed, cultivators below the transcendent realm will have no power to resist. Even if a cultivator in the transcendent realm can break free from the force field, after a few times, his true essence will be consumed by a large amount. Pak Hui, are you interested in buying a few sets? Jean Lien quickly turned his gaze to Xing Hui and promoted his alchemy products. I don't need it for the time being. I wonder what method I should use to go to those scenes. Are you interested in some of the systems in those battlefield worlds? Which battlefield world? We can still communicate. By the way, have you ever entered the battlefield world of the alchemy system? If you can provide valuable alchemy information, I'm willing to buy it at a high price. Jean Lien was very interested. All right, Jean Lien, let's talk about this later. As for the White Ruins, although the cultivation system in the battlefield world is extraordinary, due to time constraints and the restrictions placed on our cultivation by the War of Chaos, it's very difficult for us to come into contact with things that are too advanced. Even if we did learn them, there wouldn't be much meaning to it. Take the alchemy system, for example. The most powerful alchemy product at present is actually the Two-Realm Boat, while the most powerful product in combat is the Scarlet Sun Demon God of the Scarlet Sun Cult. It said that the Scarlet Sun Cult had entered the world of alchemy 3 times back then and had stolen and perfected the alchemy method from that world, which was how they created the Scarlet Sun Demon God. Even so, you've seen the battle strength of the Scarlet Sun Demon God, let alone an invincible Saint Realm powerhouse. Even a true lawful embodiment of heaven and earth expert would be able to defeat it. I understand. I was just asking out of curiosity. Xing Hui nodded after hearing Yolan's words. The most powerful alchemy product was the Red Sun Devil, while the most powerful body refining expert was only equivalent to the 12th level of the Divine Dragon Realm. Compared to the cultivation system of this world, it was indeed inferior. As for whether you really want to return to a battlefield world with a similar background, it will depend on your luck. There are quite a lot of alchemy battlefield worlds. Secondly, there is a system that gathers faith to become a god. However, although this system is powerful, it is very restrictive. It is said that there was once an invincible divine realm giant who tried to cultivate this system. In the end, he was directly converted into an existence similar to a believer by this system. He wantonly established a religion in the divine wilderness, causing a civil war in the divine wilderness that almost split the divine wilderness. Even if the divine wilderness was destroyed, the divine wilderness was destroyed. In addition, there are various other systems such as the immortal Tao, formation, alchemy, spirit refinement, and so on. Unfortunately, all of these systems have serious limitations. Moreover, the lower the cultivation limit of a world, the lower the probability of it appearing. Yulan turned her gaze to Tsinghui. Which world do you want to go to? What is the cultivation limit of that world? It is a world that is good at refining the body. The cultivation limit should be the peak of the saint realm. The peak of the saint realm. It is not powerful, but it is not weak either. If you encounter it again, I'm afraid you will have to spend a lot of tokens of the world of battle. The loss outweighs the gain. Qing Su nodded when he heard that. In fact, since our heaven wasteland world was destroyed, many people have focused their energy on the worlds where the tokens of the world of battle are located, hoping to obtain resources to continue their cultivation in the battlefield worlds derived from the tokens of the world of battle. However, according to thousands of experiments, the strongest person in any battlefield world is only in the Saint Realm. The resources that are very precious to the experts of the Saint Realm are also extremely precious in those worlds. It is extremely difficult to obtain them. In addition, it takes several attempts to go to such a high-level world. Over time, no one would do such a strenuous and unrewarding thing. Instead of using so many Tao auras to buy the tokens of the world of battle, it is better to buy some suitable resources in the Chaos Treasure Pavilion. Speaking of this, Yulan paused slightly and continued, of course, there are also many people who have obtained good things in these battlefield worlds and made rapid progress. Take Jin Lian, for example. He used the techniques he learned in that alchemy world to cast giant magnetic arrows and giant mysterious heavy arrows, both of which are very popular. Over the years, he has obtained at least thousands of Tao auras by relying on these alchemy items. His wealth is so great that we are jealous. You only see how many Tao auras I have gained through alchemy, but you don't see how many tokens of the world of battle I have consumed in order to go to that alchemy world again to learn alchemy techniques. Jin Lian said with some dissatisfaction, since you know that these are evil methods, why don't you spend your Tao aura on the right path, derive divine sense early, and step into the realm of powerful people? I can't help it. This is my hobby. Jin Lian shrugged his shoulders. Yulan shook her head and didn't want to force it. She could only turn to Tsinghui and said, you didn't come here specifically to inquire about this information, right? No, I have already arrived at the Flying Fish Sword Saints area. However, when I arrived, he was being hunted down. In the blink of an eye, he had already disappeared into the horizon. If you have his contact information, I would like to ask if you want to change the transaction location and time. Being hunted down? Yulan's expression changed. Didn't he say that he could get rid of the people from the Black Flame sect? Black Flame sect? Tsinghui frowned. If he remembered correctly, Hidden Sword Saint had gone to find a powerful person from the Black Flame sect to seek revenge. This is troublesome. The Flying Fish Sword Saint is the supreme elder of the White Rainbow Sword sect. The White Rainbow Sword sect and our Sky Dome sect have quite a lot of cooperation. Not long ago, when esteemed Zhu Zhao was in danger, it was thanks to Bai Hung of the White Rainbow Sword sect that we, Sky Dome sect, owe the White Rainbow Sword sect a favor. Now that the Flying Fish Sword Saint's life is in danger, since we know about it, we can't turn a blind eye to it. A favor must be reciprocated. I will go find Hidden Sword Saint and ask him to dispatch some powerful people nearby to help. There's no need. After hearing Yulan's words, Tsinghui considered that Hidden Sword Saint had gone to the Black Flame sect, and there seemed to be no news from him. He immediately said, let me do it. I have already upgraded my personal space to level 10. Now that my incarnation is in that area, I can just turn my body over. Yulan glanced at Qing Su hesitantly. After a while of hesitation, she still nodded. All right then. However, although you've killed Saint Exalt Xianbing before, her battle experience and methods clearly can't compare to those veteran great figures. As a result, you have to be careful when you face the great figures of the Black Flame sect. You have to prioritize your own safety over everything. Don't worry. I will contact the Flying Fish Sword Saint and ask him to meet up with you. Okay. Sing Hui nodded. Without hesitation, he left the Sky Dome realm. Yulan, who was worried about the Flying Fish Sword Saint's safety, did not notice that using the incarnation technique might have weakened him. Instead, she directly sent a message to the Flying Fish Sword Saint. In the void, Sing Hui quickly completed the transformation between his incarnation and his body. At the same time, he activated the backtrack technique and restored his condition to its peak. After determining the direction that the Flying Fish Sword Saint had flown in, Sing Hui directly flew on his sword and chased after the Flying Fish Sword Saint. My flying speed seems to be able to overlap with the speed of a 12th Order flying sword. After flying for a while, Sing Hui's heart skipped a beat. In the next moment, an even more violent sound barrier was torn apart by him. In the next moment, his speed increased again. In an instant, he went from less than 20,000 kilometers per hour to 40,000 kilometers per hour. It had more than doubled. It was almost 40 times the speed of sound. This speed, Sing Hui's eyes shone brightly. Apart from those invincible Saint Realm experts who had top-notch flying swords, who else could match his speed? Relying on this speed, in less than a minute, the Flying Fish Sword Saint and the two powerful people chasing after him appeared in Sing Hui's field of vision. Seeing Sing Hui coming at full speed and bringing with him a terrifying sonic boom, the Flying Fish Sword Saint's eyes widened. Sky Pak Hui. Almost at the same time that he called out Sing Hui's name, Sing Hui had already whizzed past him with the terrifying sonic boom and air pressure. The sweeping air current caused the Flying Fish Sword Saint's body to tremble, and he was almost blown away. When Sing Hui and the other two powerful people clashed, a visible shockwave swept out brazenly, and a deafening roar of thunder suddenly sounded. The first powerful person to bear the brunt of the shockwave had just managed to condense a divine ability, but he was actually blown away by Sing Hui's air pressure with the force of Mount Tai. While in the void, he spat out blood. This, the Flying Fish Sword Saint, who had barely managed to stabilize himself, widened his eyes at this scene. Relying on the shock wave of air pressure from his flying speed, he can already form an attack not inferior to a divine ability. Where did this monster come from? Today's 5 chapters of explosive power. Now, let's start the first chapter. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.